Chapter 3565. There were many people with the same surname. However, in the Nine Serenities battlefield, if the two people with the highest status in the same force had the same surname, the probability of coincidence was not high. In fact, it could even be said to be very small. Because of this, when Duan Lingtian heard the leader of the Northern Dark Alliance introduce himself as Luo Yiming, he thought of Luo Feng, the deputy leader of the Northern Dark Alliance, who had brought him here. He couldn't help but be stunned. After Luo Yiming, the leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, learned about Duan Lingtian's strength from Luo Feng, he did not dare to underestimate Duan Lingtian. He even personally led the way and arranged a place for Duan Lingtian to cultivate. Mr. Li Feng, from today onward, you'll be the supreme guardian of the Northern Dark Alliance. After arranging a place for Duan Lingtian to cultivate, Luo Yiming looked at Duan Lingtian with a solemn expression and said, "Before today, the Northern Dark Alliance didn't have a supreme guardian?" Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded. He didn't care about these empty titles. Previously, when he was in the Eastern Nine regions, he had rejected Shangguan Yunfeng, the leader of the Heavenly Law Alliance, when he wanted to pass the position of leader to him. "Leader Luo, I'm cultivating in the Northern Dark Alliance, and you've helped me a lot. In the future, if the Northern Dark Alliance needs my help, you can let me know at any time. As long as it's within my power and doesn't cross my bottom line, I won't reject you." Before Luo Yiming left, Duan Lingtian gave Luo Yiming a promise. At the same time, he gave Luo Yiming his soul pearl so that he could contact him at any time. When Luo Yiming heard Duan Lingtian's promise, he took Duan Lingtian's soul pearl and handed over his own soul pearl. His eyes couldn't help but light up when he heard that. Previously, when his cousin Luo Feng mentioned Duan Lingtian's power, he knew that Duan Lingtian's power was even greater than his. At the beginning, he only wanted to worship this person, even if he didn't order him to do anything. If someone came looking for trouble in the future, Duan Lingtian wouldn't just stand by and watch. He didn't expect Duan Lingtian to give him such a promise. This also meant that the Northern Dark Alliance could ask him to help them. This was undoubtedly a pleasant surprise for him. Unless it's something that requires you to do personally, the Northern Profound Alliance won't trouble you. Grand Guardian, from now on, you can cultivate in the Northern Profound Alliance with peace of mind. Although the person in front of him had made a promise, Luo Yiming did not dare to let the other party make a move easily. Therefore, by saying such comforting words, he not only expressed his unwillingness to take advantage of the situation, but also gave the other party a sense of confidence. "All right," Duan Lingtian replied and flew back to the residence that Luo Yiming, the alliance leader of the Northern Dark Alliance, had arranged for him. It was a spacious mansion located at a corner of the Northern Dark Alliance's territory. It was very secluded, and very few people came near it. This was a good place for Duan Lingtian to cultivate. After watching Duan Lingtian leave, Luo Yiming finally left. Before he left, he sent a message to his cousin, Luo Feng. "From today onwards, Mr. Li Feng will be the supreme guardian of the Northern Dark Alliance. Also, tell those who witnessed the battle between you and Duan Lingtian to keep quiet about the news that Duan Lingtian has a divine weapon. Don't spread the news." After Luo Feng received the message, he started to get busy. Not long after, the entire Northern Dark Alliance was shocked. There was a supreme guardian in the Northern Dark Alliance all of a sudden? One had to know that even though the Northern Profound Alliance had quite a few protectors, their positions were all beneath the Alliance head and Vice Alliance head. Yet, with the addition of a Supreme Protector, the Northern Profound Alliance had decided to treat the Supreme Protector with the utmost respect. Didn't this mean that there would be two Alliance leaders in the Northern Dark Alliance? Who is this person? How can he be the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Dark Alliance? His position is higher than the Vice Leader. The Vice Leader is an 8-star war god. Is he qualified? He wants to be on the same level as our Alliance Leader. Is he worthy of such treatment? After the news spread throughout the Northern Dark Alliance, the members of the Northern Dark Alliance began to question whether the first Supreme Guardian in the history of the Northern Dark Alliance had the ability to accept his current position in the Northern Dark Alliance. However, as the members of the Northern Dark Alliance who witnessed the battle between Duan Lingtian and Luo Feng spoke, more people in the Northern Dark Alliance were shocked by what they said. He broke Vice Leader Luo Feng's defense with one strike? He defeated Luo Feng within a few breaths? Even the alliance leader might not be as powerful as him. Who is this person wearing a bamboo hat, a black robe, and a black cloak? After learning about Duan Lingtian's power, the members of the Northern Dark Alliance no longer dared to doubt the power of their new Supreme Guardian. However, they were more shocked than anything else. They had never thought that this person would be so powerful. They had never expected such a person to appear in the Northern Dark Alliance. To be able to defeat Lord Luo Feng in such a short period of time, I'm afraid he's stronger than our alliance leader. Many people thought so too. For a long time to come, the hottest topic in the Northern Profound Alliance revolved around the first Supreme Enforcer in the history of the Northern Profound Alliance. They never seemed to get tired of talking about him. Of course, Duan Lingtian didn't know about any of this. Now, he was fully focused on his cultivation. He wanted to reach the threshold of becoming a god as soon as possible. By then, he would be able to go anywhere in the 9 Remoteness battlefield. Duan Lingtian, the vice leader of the Heavenly Dao Alliance in the Eastern 9 regions? Mi Xian, the former patriarch of the Dead Soul clan, possessed the body of Tang Sanpao, the young master of the Tidal Temple. He had entered the 9 Remoteness battlefield before Duan Lingtian joined the Heavenly Dao Alliance. However, the first thing he did after entering the 9 Remoteness battlefield was to find a force to join. Compared to Duan Lingtian, who was clueless when he first entered the 9 Serenities battlefield, Mi Xian had already learned a thing or two about the 9 Serenities battlefield. Therefore, as soon as he entered the 9 Serenities battlefield, he immediately went to the forces he belonged to. Shetian Alliance in the Western 5 regions. Currently, Mi Xian had sealed his soul to maintain it at the level of a 10 Directions Celestial Emperor. However, since his soul had yet to fully integrate with his body, he could not fully utilize the profundities he had comprehended through his soul. Today was the first time Mi Xian came out of seclusion after joining Shetian Alliance. As soon as he came out, he heard about what had happened in the Eastern 9 regions of the 9 Remoteness battlefield. Duan Lingtian is also in the 9 Remoteness battlefield? Tang Sanpao, or to be more precise, Mi Xian's eyes flashed coldly. His younger brother, Yahiko, was killed by Duan Lingtian. That Wu Hongqing should have sent me a message. Mi Xian took a deep breath and thought about Wu Hongqing, the palace master of the Tidal Temple. With Wu Hongqing's intelligence network, Wu Hongqing must have learned about Duan Lingtian when Duan Lingtian made a name for himself in the 9 Remoteness battlefield. Moreover, Mi Xian was in the 9 Remoteness battlefield, so Wu Hongqing must have taken pity on him. However, since I'm in seclusion, I've blocked all messages. I'll leave the 9 Remoteness battlefield and see if he has any plans to deal with Duan Lingtian. After Duan Lingtian committed suicide and killed Wu Long, the second true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of Ji Fan, the strongest person below the 9-star god of war in the 9 Remoteness battlefield, he must have gone into hiding. Since Duan Lingtian has gone into hiding, it won't be easy for Wu Hongqing to find him. With this thought in mind, Mi Xian left Shetian Alliance in the 9 Remoteness battlefield and returned to the Independent Realm where the main hall of the Tidal Temple was located. Why did you only come out now? Wu Hongqing frowned slightly when he saw Mi Xian. After all, he had already sent a message to Mi Xian. Before entering the 9 Serenities battlefield, Mi Xian had left a soul orb with Qin Lai. Qin Lai purposely had someone bring the soul orb into the 9 Serenities battlefield to contact Mi Xian. However, because the connection was one-way, he did not know if Mi Xian had received the message. However, as the days passed and Mi Xian still did not come out, he knew Mi Xian had not received the message. Now that Mi Xian had shown up, it was not difficult for him to guess Mi Xian must have heard about Duan Lingtian being in the 9 Remoteness battlefield. That was why Mi Xian had come out to look for him. I've been cultivating in seclusion. Apart from being vigilant for sneak attacks, I've also blocked out all communications that might affect my cultivation, Mi Xian said indifferently. Mi Xian said indifferently, you must have sent someone to contact me because of Duan Lingtian, right? Yes. Wu Hongqing nodded. The Heavenly Emperor of Ji Fan's true disciple was killed by Duan Lingtian. I'm sure he won't let the matter rest, right? Mi Xian looked at Wu Hongqing meaningfully before he said, I'm sure you don't want Duan Lingtian to die in the hands of the Heavenly Emperor of Ji Fan? Are you saying you're willing? Wu Hongqing smiled disdainfully. I'm not the only one who wants the 5 divine elements in Duan Lingtian's body. You want them as well. Enough. Mi Xian waved his hand and said, let's get down to business. What do you plan to do about this? It's obvious Duan Lingtian has gone into hiding. He might even have left the 9 remoteness battlefield. I don't think he has left the 9 remoteness battlefield. Wu Hongqing's eyes flashed as he said, Duan Lingtian isn't someone who's content with the status quo. He's able to achieve what he has in just a few hundred years. His appearance in the 9 remoteness battlefield means he doesn't want to hide in a mundane realm. He wants to cultivate and gain experience in the 9th serenity battlefield. He wants to improve his strength and even become a god in the shortest amount of time possible. In a mundane realm, the process will take a long time. Therefore, I'm certain he's still in the 9 remoteness battlefield. I'm not the only one. Even the heavenly emperor of Jifan, Jiyu, feels the same way. Mi Xian raised an eyebrow when he heard Wu Hongqing's words. Have you contacted the heavenly emperor of Jifan? Chapter 3566. When Mi Xian was still the patriarch of the Dead Spirit clan, he spent most of his time in the netherworld and rarely came to the Devata realms. Even so, he still knew about the people who were ranked at the top of the Heavenly Emperor ranking in the Devata realms. The Heavenly Emperor of the Jifan Heaven was ranked first on the Heavenly Emperor ranking. He knew about the Heavenly Emperor of the Jifan Heaven. That being said, even if he didn't know about the Jifantion Heavenly Emperor, he could still learn about the Jifantion Heavenly Emperor and his ranking on the Heavenly Monarch ranking from the Tidal Temple's young master, Tang Sanpao.
Yes.
Wu Hongqing nodded in response to Mi Xian's question. I took the initiative to look for him. You took the initiative to look for him? Mi Xian frowned. You didn't say anything about Duan Lingtian possessing the 5 divine elements, right? No. Wu Hongqing shook his head. I only looked for him to tell him that the Tidal Temple is willing to work with him to deal with Duan Lingtian. However, I want him alive. At the very least, Duan Lingtian has to stay in the Tidal Temple's main hall for a period of time, so we can get him to hand over his comprehension of the 4 Tao of heaven and earth. Jiyu, the heavenly emperor of the Jifan Heaven, has long heard about the Tidal Temple's desire for the 4 Tao of heaven and earth. For this reason, I promised to share with him the comprehension of the 4 Tao of heaven and earth that we obtained from Duan Lingtian. Naturally, he also made a request. He wants the divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession. Wu Hongqing mentioned Duan Lingtian's divine weapon. He had heard that Duan Lingtian had used a divine weapon to defeat Wu Long, who had also used a divine weapon. He wants Duan Lingtian's divine weapon. It seems like the divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession is extraordinary. Mi Xian looked at Wu Hongqing meaningfully and asked, what do you think? Definitely not ordinary. Wu Hongqing nodded in agreement. That Jiyu is a person who wouldn't do anything without benefits. Since he is interested in the divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's hands, it means that the divine weapon is definitely not ordinary. But, so what if it's not an ordinary divine weapon? Could it be that its value was comparable to the 5 divine elements in Duan Lingtian's body? That's the 5 divine elements in their higher forms. Even if we can only obtain one of them, even if we have no hope of becoming an absolute expert in the future, we still have hope of becoming an emperor god or even an ultimate god. It was obvious that Wu Hongqing was willing to give up Duan Lingtian's extraordinary divine weapon in order to obtain the 5 divine elements. That's true. Mi Xian agreed with Wu Hongqing's decision. How is your strength now? Wu Hongqing asked as he looked at Mi Xian with anticipation in his eyes. When Mi Xian heard Wu Hongqing's question, he said indifferently, although I haven't fully merged with the 5 divine elements, I have the foundation of a god king. The celestial origin energy in my body now has the characteristics of divine power. Even if I can't fully utilize the profundities of the laws I've comprehended, it shouldn't be a problem for me to kill an ordinary 9-star god of war. Wu Hongqing's eyes lit up when he heard Mi Xian's words. He was more concerned about the fact that Mi Xian had the strength of a 9-star god of war. Mi Xian, the Tidal Temple will fully cooperate with you to capture Duan Lingtian alive. Wu Hongqing's eyes shone brightly when he learned that Mi Xian had the strength of a 9-star god of war. Of course, if you can't capture him alive, you can kill him and take the 5 divine elements in his body. If GU's people don't know about your actions, you can also take the divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession. If you're interested, you can keep it for yourself. The Tidal Temple will first send a group of 8 star gods of war to cooperate with you. As for 9 star gods of war, we've already gathered them in the various sub-halls. After some time, a sub-hall master with the strength of a 9-star god of war will join you. Wu Hongqing had already made preparations before Mi Xian had come out. Next, I'll be heading to the Brahma Alliance established by the disciples of Jiyu, the heavenly emperor of the Ji Pantheon? Mi Xian asked. That's right. Wu Hongqing nodded. I've already reached an agreement with the heavenly emperor of the Ji Pantheon. I'll send at least one 9-star god of war to cooperate with his disciple, Ji Ying, to find Duan Lingtian and capture him. Initially, I thought if you can't unleash the strength of a 9-star god of war, you'll have to send a sub-hall master with the strength of a 9-star god of war. Since you've already entered the Tidal Temple, I'll let you go. Similar to how some heavenly emperors in the Devata realms possess the strength of a 9-star god of war, there were a few sub-hall masters in the Tidal Temple who possessed the strength of a 9-star god of war as well. Naturally, there were not many sub-hall masters. Moreover, most of them had their own matters to attend to and might not be free. Under such circumstances, even if the main hall of the Tidal Temple wanted them to enter the 9 Serenities battlefield, they might not be free. Previously, Duan Lingtian had taken the risk of waiting for the Tidal Temple to send a large number of 8-star gods of war to kill him. It was difficult for the main hall of the Tidal Temple to summon 9-star gods of war, but it was easy for the main hall to summon 8-star gods of war. Just the Tidal Temple's sub-palaces alone had many 8-star gods of war. There were many 8-star gods of war in the main hall of the Tidal Temple as well. You'll work with Ji Yu's disciple, Ji Ying. The main hall of the Tidal Temple will send another 9-star god of war to assist you. Based on Ji Yu's words, it seems like he'll try to recruit another 9-star god of war. With 4 9-star gods of war working together, they're almost invincible in the 9 Serenities battlefield. It shouldn't be difficult for them to find Duan Lingtian. Wu Hongqing, the hall master of the Tidal Temple, had a glint in his eyes. Flames of greed could be seen burning in his eyes, and he could no longer control his greed. Duan Lingtian was unaware that Wu Hongqing, the hall master of the Tidal Temple, was in cahoots with Jiyu, the heavenly emperor of the Ji Pantheon. The two of them planned to send 4 9-star gods of war to search for him in the 9 Serenities battlefield. Currently, he was using the alias of Li Feng and had entered the Northern Profound Alliance in the 2nd North District to cultivate. The Northern Profound Alliance was only one of the 3 strongest forces in the 2nd North District. However, the members of the Northern Profound Alliance were clear about this. With the addition of the elusive Grand Guardian, the Northern Profound Alliance's strength had surpassed the other 2 forces in one fell swoop. If the Northern Profound Alliance wants to, we can easily destroy the other 2 forces. That's for sure. After all, the Northern Profound Alliance has 3 8-star gods of war. Moreover, the third 8-star god of war is stronger than the Vice Alliance leader. I wonder when the Alliance leader and the Grand Guardian will make their move to destroy the other 2 forces. In the Jiyu battlefield, the formation of a force was not only to provide shelter, but also to provide a platform for cooperation. In the Jiyu battlefield, the unaffiliated people relied on their own strength to survive. On the other hand, those who had the backing of a force would move in groups. The various spoils of war that they plundered would also be divided equally. For example, in the Northern Profound Alliance, a group of ordinary 6-star gods of war working together could kill a top 6-star god of war. It was the same for 5-star gods of war and 4-star gods of war. The stronger a force was, the more people would join it. As a result, it would become stronger. In the 2nd North District, not only the Northern Profound Alliance, but the other 2 forces also wanted to be the strongest force. They realized that they had reached a bottleneck today. If they wanted to go further, they only had one choice: destroy the other 2 forces. Because of this, when Duan Lingtian, using the alias of Li Feng, joined the Northern Profound Alliance and became the Grand Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance, everyone in the Northern Profound Alliance hoped that the Northern Profound Alliance would make a move to destroy the other 2 forces one by one and become the strongest force in the 2nd North District. Once the Northern Profound Alliance became the strongest force in the Second North District, the Northern Profound Alliance would have the final say in the area. Under such circumstances, the Northern Profound Alliance would naturally gain more benefits. However, they realized that the mysterious Supreme Guardian seemed to have disappeared without a trace after joining the Northern Profound Alliance. During this period of time, many Grand Guardians of the Northern Profound Alliance came to the Deputy Alliance Leader, Luo Feng, to ask about this matter. Lord Luo Feng, now that the Northern Profound Alliance has the Grand Guardian, are we not going to attack the other two forces? And Luo Feng only had one answer to these questions. Everything will be decided by the Alliance Leader and the Grand Guardian. His answer was equivalent to not answering. Under such circumstances, everyone in the Northern Profound Alliance could only wait. No one dared to ask the Alliance Leader this question rashly. As for the Supreme Protector, he was elusive. Not to mention asking questions, even if they wanted to see him, it would be difficult. Brother. Luo Feng found Luo Yiming. Shouldn't you say something? Everyone in the Northern Profound Alliance is waiting for an answer from you. Now that the Grand Guardian has joined the Northern Profound Alliance, are we going to attack the other two forces? Luo Yiming shook his head. If I wanted to say something, I would have said it long ago. It's just that it's not convenient for me to say it. Although the Grand Guardian has joined the Northern Profound Alliance, how long has it been since he joined? What if he has a bad impression of the Northern Profound Alliance and leaves because of this? What should we do? For this kind of thing, we should at least wait until the Grand Guardian has a certain level of affection for the Northern Profound Alliance before we ask for his help. You and I both know that we can't dictate what the Supreme Protector wants to do. Luo Feng nodded to show that he understood Luo Yiming's words. However, there is another possibility. The other two forces must have known that the Grand Guardian is an 8-star god of war by now. Will they choose to strike first and attack the Northern Profound Alliance together? As he finished speaking, a hint of worry could be seen between Luo Feng's brows. Strike first? Luo Yiming smiled. That's exactly what I want. Huh. Luo Feng was stunned. Why? Isn't this a disaster for the Northern Profound Alliance? Chapter 3567. Disaster? Hearing Luo Feng's words, Luo Yiming smiled faintly. That might not be the case. Luo Yiming's words made Luo Feng even more confused. Brother, can you be clearer? Don't keep me in suspense. Luo Feng's tone became a little impatient as he spoke. Haha. Luo Yiming laughed. Brother Feng, if the two superpowers really join forces and attack us, you will naturally understand what I mean. Luo Yiming's tone was extremely calm. It was as if the two superpowers joining forces was nothing in his eyes. His confidence wasn't without reason. A few days ago, the new Supreme Guardian of the Northern Xian Alliance had something to ask him, and he had suggested a spar. When the two of them fought, he realized that there was not much difference between him and his cousin, Luo Feng, in front of the Supreme Guardian. Even he couldn't hold on for long before he was defeated. The Supreme Guardian's strength also confirmed his suspicions. He was definitely a top 8-star god of war. Moreover, he was one of the top 8-star gods of war. Whether it was him or his cousin, they were the only two 8-star gods of war in the Northern Xian Alliance, but they were not top 8-star gods of war. The other two superpowers did not have any top 8-star gods of war either. The strongest 8-star gods of war in the two superpowers were on par with him, and the other was slightly stronger than him. However, the difference was not huge. In the two northern regions, there were three superpowers. They were Northern Xian Alliance, Qiu Yun Alliance, and Hashan Alliance. A Supreme Guardian suddenly appeared in the Northern Xian Alliance, and he was stronger than the deputy leader, Luo Feng, and not weaker than the leader, Luo Yiming. The Qiu Yun Alliance and Hashan Alliance naturally received this news after some time. After receiving the news, although they appeared calm on the surface, there was an undercurrent surging behind their backs. After a few probing, the people of the Qiu Yun Alliance and Hashan Alliance, or more accurately, the 8-star gods of Qiu Yun Alliance and Hashan Alliance, finally gathered together. In the spacious main hall of the Hashan Alliance's base, there was no one sitting on the main seat. However, there were two people sitting on each side of the main seat, facing each other. Alliance Master Yuan. The one who spoke now was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man with a curly beard. He wore a loose gray robe and had fierce eyebrows. His pair of copper gongs seemed to be constantly glaring, giving off an invisible sense of oppression. I think it's time for you to let go of the grudges between our two alliances and temporarily put aside your prejudices against me and the Chiu-Yun Alliance to work with us. Don't tell me you want to wait until the Northern Profound Alliance makes a move on both our alliances one by one, and then regret it after they defeat us one by one? The middle-aged man with a curly beard who spoke was the vice leader of the Chiu-Yun Alliance, Tai Ming. Tai Ming was also an 8-star war god. His strength was on par with Luo Feng, the deputy chief of the Northern Profound Alliance. The two of them had fought several years ago and were evenly matched. Now, Tai Ming was talking to an old man. This old man was wearing a dark green robe. He had a head full of white hair and straight white eyebrows. He looked dignified without being angry. His face was like that of a man who had just entered middle age. He had white hair and a youthful face. He was the alliance master of the He-Shan Alliance, Yuan Fu. This time, the alliance master of the Chiu-Yun Alliance was one of the two people who came to the He-Shan Alliance. Therefore, although Yuan Fu was the alliance master of the He-Shan Alliance, he did not arrogantly sit at the head of the table. Instead, he sat beside the alliance master of the Chiu-Yun Alliance. Vice Alliance Master Tai, are you sure that the Northern Profound Alliance will make a move on us? Beside Yuan Fu sat a young man. He had a medium build and an ordinary appearance. He was the type that would be hard to find in a crowd. At this moment, he looked at the Vice Alliance Master of the Chiu-Yun Alliance and shook his head as he spoke. He was the Vice Alliance Master of the He-Shan Alliance, Qi Kuan. Vice Alliance Master Qi. Tai Ming looked at Qi Kuan and his eyes flashed. Are you and the He-Shan Alliance really going to gamble? If so, our Alliance Master and I can leave the He-Shan Alliance now. This time, we came to the He-Shan Alliance to seek cooperation. I don't believe that you didn't think of this. We took the initiative to come to the He-Shan Alliance to give you a way out. If you don't want to, we won't force you. At most, we'll go our separate ways. As soon as he finished speaking, Tai Ming raised his hand and slammed the table beside him. He stood up and looked like he was about to leave. Vice Alliance Master Tai, don't be rash. Qi Kuan also stood up. Just as Tai Ming said, the He-Shan Alliance actually wanted to cooperate with the Chiu-Yun Alliance. However, they couldn't bring themselves to do so. After all, they were enemies in the past, and there was a lot of resentment between them. Today, if the He-Shan Alliance really left, the Chiu-Yun Alliance would still have to go. The reason why they didn't agree to it was because they wanted to put on airs. Now that Tai Ming was using force, they naturally didn't dare to go against him. Alliance Master Yuan, give us an answer. Sitting beside Tai Ming, the middle-aged man who had been silently resting with his eyes closed finally opened his eyes at this moment. His emotionless gaze landed on the leader of the He-Shan Alliance, Yuan Fu. The middle-aged man was dressed like a scholar and looked harmless. He was the alliance master of the Chiu-Yun Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen. It's already so late. Isn't this pointless? Shimin Jiangchen asked indifferently. Alliance Master Shimin, you jest? Yuan Fu, the expressionless alliance master of the He-Shan Alliance, squeezed out a smile and said, we are willing to cooperate with the Chiu-Yun Alliance on this matter. Tai Ming only sat down after Yuan Fu spoke. You should have done this long ago. Yuan Fu continued to look at Shimin Jiangchen and said, Alliance Master Shimin, since you're here to seek cooperation, you must have your own plans. What do you plan to do next? Shimin Jiangchen's eyes flashed coldly in response to Yuan Fu's question. Our two alliances will come out in full force and point our swords at the North Profound Alliance. The sooner, the better. At the center of the Nine Serenities battlefield, Brahma Alliance's base. I'm looking for Jiying. The young man who led the dozen or so people who came from afar stood outside the Brahma Alliance's base and looked indifferently at the patrolling members of the Brahma Alliance. Jiying? The members of the Brahma Alliance didn't react at first. It took a while for one of them to react. Jiying, I think, that's the Alliance Master's name. Sir, you are? Knowing that the young man was looking for their Alliance Master, and that he wasn't an ordinary person, the members of the Brahma Alliance didn't dare to be negligent and asked carefully. Mixian. The young man who led the group spoke again. His tone was as calm as before. He was none other than Mi Xian, who had entered the Nine Serenities battlefield not long ago. To be more precise, he was Mi Xian, who had possessed Tang Sanpeio's body and taken over Tang Sanpeio's body. So you're Lord Mi Xian. The eyes of the members of the Brahma Alliance lit up when they heard Mi Xian's self-introduction. Then, they respectfully welcomed Mi Xian inside. The Alliance Master has ordered us to bring you to him directly when Lord Mi Xian arrives. Before Mi Xian entered the Nine Serenities battlefield, Wu Hongqing, the Palace Master of the Tidal Temple, had contacted the Brahma Alliance's Heavenly Emperor, Jiyu, and asked him to inform his disciple, Ji Ying, that the Tidal Temple would send people to the Nine Serenities battlefield to settle down in the Nine Serenities battlefield and search for Duan Lingtian with the Brahma Alliance. Jiyu had immediately sent people to the Nine Serenities battlefield to inform Ji Ying of this matter. After Ji Ying learned of this matter, she immediately gave the order. Therefore, the patrolling members of the Brahma Alliance knew that an important person named Mi Xian would be coming to the Nine Serenities battlefield in the near future. This was because their Alliance Master had invited this person as his guest. One had to know that not everyone could receive such treatment. Amen. When Mi Xian entered the Nine Serenities battlefield with the leader of the Brahma Alliance, there were 12 people following closely behind him. Half of the 12 people were 8 star gods of war nurtured by the Tidal Temple's main hall, and the other half were 8 star gods of war from the Tidal Temple's branch halls. They had followed Mi Xian into the Nine Serenities battlefield. They only had one mission. They had to listen to Mi Xian's orders and assist the Brahma Alliance in searching for Duan Lingtian. They had to capture Duan Lingtian alive. You're Mi Xian from the Tidal Temple? I've been waiting for a long time. The Brahma Alliance's leader, Ji Ying, received Mi Xian in a vast valley. The surroundings were empty, and the 12 people behind Mi Xian were blocked outside. Our Alliance Master has something to say to Lord Mi Xian in private. It's not convenient for you to enter. Ji Ying stood in the sky above the vast valley. His body was as straight as a javelin. Although there were no energy fluctuations around him, he gave off an extremely sharp aura. As for Mi Xian, he had also arrived in front of Ji Ying and stood facing her. Mi Xian? Ji Ying asked. Yes. Mi Xian was indifferent to Ji Ying. Although Ji Ying was a 9 star god of war, Ji Ying was nothing in his eyes. If his soul was not sealed, he would still be a god king. In the eyes of a god king, ordinary gods were nothing, let alone a titled celestial emperor who had yet to become a god. I heard from my master that you're a 9 star god of war? Ji Ying asked bluntly. Sort of. Mi Xian frowned. Sort of? Ji Ying frowned slightly. This isn't just sort of. If you're not a 9 star god of war, you're not qualified to work with me. Since when did the Tidal Temple start spouting nonsense? Ji Ying's expression darkened slightly when he heard Mi Xian's words. I'm not qualified to work with you? Mi Xian sneered. Brat, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Do you think I won't teach you a lesson on behalf of your master, the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven? Mi Xian was usually on equal footing with Wu Hongqing, the Palace Master of the Tidal Temple. Even if Jiyu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven, was here, Mi Xian would still treat Wu Hongqing with the same respect. However, Mi Xian was merely Jiyu's disciple. How could Mi Xian say he was not qualified to work with Jiyu? You'll have to have the ability to teach you a lesson first. Ji Ying was taken aback when he heard Mi Xian's words. Then, a sneer appeared on his face. As Ji Ying's voice fell, the atmosphere at the scene became completely solemn. The intense smell of gunpowder instantly spread out. Chapter 3568. Impudent. Mi Xian narrowed his eyes and shouted in response to Ji Ying's provocation. In the next moment, a gray energy spread out from his body. Since you're looking for a beating, I, Mi Xian, will fulfill your wish. We don't know who's looking for a beating. As the first true disciple of Jiyu, Ji Fantian's Heavenly Emperor, Ji Ying was extremely confident in his own strength. Even if the person in front of him was really a 9 star god of war, he was not afraid. Moreover, the person in front of him had only said that he was a 9 star god of war. The word considered had many meanings. It could be that he had barely reached the level, or he could be bragging, or he could be stronger than a 9-star god of war. However, the 9 Serenities battlefield could only accommodate 9-star gods of war at most. Those stronger than 9-star gods of war were gods. Gods of war were unable to enter the 9 Serenities battlefield or even stay there. Humph! Mi Xian's eyes flashed coldly in the face of the confident Jiying. Then, a figure shot out from his body. It was another Mi Xian, but this Mi Xian's eyes were blood-red. Clearly, this was Mi Xian's clone. To be precise, it was a death clone. Death clone was one of the many profundities of the law of death. Facing Mi Xian's sudden attack, Jiying, who had been waiting for a long time, also made his move. Whoosh! Jiying's figure flickered, and a green light wreaked havoc around him. Then, he seemed to have turned into a gust of wind and swiftly drifted past, dodging Mi Xian's death clone. The entire process was extremely easy. Buzz, 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 buzz. When Jiying dodged Mi Xian's preemptive attack, he also made his move. Wind blades condensed in the air as though they had appeared out of thin air. Then, a tornado suddenly appeared and enveloped Mi Xian. In an instant, Mi Xian's figure was swallowed by the tornado. Everyone, our alliance master is only sparring with Lord Mi Xian. He won't harm Lord Mi Xian's life. At the same time, the Brahma Alliance's upper echelon who had stopped the 12 8-star gods of war who had come with Mi Xian from the tidal temple looked at Jiying and Mi Xian, who had suddenly exchanged blows, and spoke to the 12 8-star gods of war from the tidal temple. However, his words were obviously in vain. This was because the 12 8-star war gods from the tidal temple didn't do anything from the beginning to the end until Mi Xian's figure was annihilated by the tornado of wind blades that filled the sky. They simply watched indifferently from afar. Mi Xian? In fact, they were not familiar with this person. However, the main hall master had ordered them to obey Mi Xian's orders, so they had no choice but to obey. However, at their level, how could they easily submit to a person? Now that they finally had the chance to witness Mi Xian's strength and see if he had the ability to lead them, they were more than happy to see him succeed. How could they possibly stop this from happening? The leader of the Brahma Alliance, Jiying, is the #1 true disciple of Heavenly Emperor Ji Fantion. I've long heard that he has become a 9-star war god. To be able to see him in action today makes this trip worth it. An 8-star god of war from the tidal temple side. Indeed. The other person nodded in agreement. Soon after, the 12 8-star gods of war from the tidal temple began to whisper among themselves. They were not worried about Mi Xian at all, unlike the high-ranking officials from the Brahma Alliance who were standing nearby. Fortunately, these 12 people did not attend the Battle of the Geniuses in the Devata realms. Otherwise, they would have recognized Mi Xian as the young master of the tidal temple, Tang Sanpao. Although these 12 people were from the tidal temple, they were not palace masters and did not attend the Battle of the Geniuses in the Devata realms. At this moment, the high-ranking officials from the Brahma Alliance were rendered speechless by the reaction of the people from the tidal temple. The person who is fighting with our alliance master is your leader. Can't you show even the slightest bit of concern for him? At the same time, Mi Xian, who had been swept into the tornado by the wind blades, quickly appeared before Jiying and the onlookers. At the same time, the raging tornado was forcibly shattered and annihilated. Is that all you've got? Mi Xian appeared, his body untainted by a speck of dust. His eyes were incomparably indifferent. If this is all you've got, then I'm a little disappointed. Jiying's expression changed slightly. Although he had not used his full strength earlier, he had still used some of his strength. However, he did not expect he would not be able to hurt Mi Xian at all. At this moment, he was certain Mi Xian was not weak at all. He was certain Mi Xian was a 9-star god of war. At this moment, Jiying cursed Mi Xian for saying he was a 9-star god of war. His expression was solemn as he made his move. He did not intend to hold back anymore. Even if he could not defeat Mi Xian, he could at least tie with Mi Xian. Otherwise, he would be thoroughly humiliated today. After all, he was the one who had provoked Mi Xian first. He was the one who had provoked Mi Xian first, and Mi Xian had defeated him. I'll defeat you with one move. Just as Jiying was about to unleash her full power, Mi Xian's words rang in her ears. Jiying was stunned for a moment, and the onlookers, whether they were from the Brahma Alliance or the Tidal Temple, felt their scalps go numb. Their first thought was that Mi Xian was too arrogant. They could not deny that Mi Xian's performance had stunned them. They were certain that Mi Xian was a 9-star god of war. However, as a 5-star god of war, it was impossible for him to defeat Ji Ying with one move. Arrogant, Ji Ying shouted coldly. Then, a blue wind wreaked havoc around him, making him look like a wind god who could control all the wind energy in the world. He could destroy the sky with a raise of his hand and destroy the earth with a stomp. Before Ji Ying moved, Mi Xian narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, "You will know in a breath's time whether I'm arrogant or not." As soon as Mi Xian finished speaking, a ray of light shot out from his eyes. The ray of light shot through the sky like a shooting star and arrived in front of Ji Ying in the blink of an eye. Even Ji Ying's celestial origin energy that had been boosted by the wind elemental profundity could not stop Mi Xian. That's a soul attack? The crowd's eyes widened in shock when they saw this. Soul attacks were rare even for people at their level. This was because celestial origin energy was more compatible with the profundities of laws than the soul. Therefore, unless one specialized in cultivating the soul, most people would not study soul attacks. For this reason, they were shocked when they saw Mi Xian using a soul attack. It won't be easy to defeat a 9-star god of war with a soul attack, right? They could not help but think to themselves. Although a soul attack could catch one's opponent off guard, it was impossible to defeat a person of similar strength unless it was cast through a soul attack divine weapon. Soul attack? Ji Ying smiled disdainfully when he saw Mi Xian's soul attack. Mi Xian was not the only one who knew how to use soul attacks. In fact, one of the divine weapons he possessed was a soul attack divine weapon. Swoosh, swoosh. Almost as soon as Ji Ying's eyes focused, 2 torch-like beams of light howled out from the depths of his eyes. In the blink of an eye, they converged into one and met Mi Xian's fierce soul attack head-on. Although Ji Ying was proficient in soul attacks, to him, it was just a sneak attack that caught him off guard. Normally, he would rather use his celestial origin energy. However, the smile on Ji Ying's face froze. Before Mi Xian's soul attack could make contact with Ji Ying's soul attack, it dissipated as though an explosion had occurred. Then, strands of soul attack enveloped Ji Ying. Ji Ying's soul attack had only destroyed a portion of Mi Xian's soul attack. In the next moment, Mi Xian's soul attack entered Ji Ying's body. Just as Ji Ying was about to activate his soul energy to defend himself, he discovered that the strands of Mi Xian's soul attack that had entered his body had begun to move rhythmically. These fluctuations did not have the power to harm his soul, but they still caused his soul to tremble. He felt his head grow heavy, and he could not help but be distracted. At this moment, bang! A loud explosion rang in the air. Under the shocked gazes of the high-ranking officials of the Brahma Alliance and the people of the Tidal Temple, Mi Xian's undead clone attacked again. With a single punch, he sent Ji Ying flying. Ji Ying's celestial origin energy that had been boosted with the wind elemental profundity dissipated as well. Barf! Ji Ying spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. At the same time, he bit the tip of his tongue to regain his senses. He barely managed to stop himself from flying. When he looked at Mi Xian again, a hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. "Who are you?" Ji Ying found it hard to believe that someone could use soul attacks to this extent. It was simply impossible to guard against. Even if he were to attack again, he would still be hit, unless he had a divine artifact to protect his soul. However, what he did not know was that although his opponent's soul was sealed, it did not change the fact that it was the soul of a god king. Moreover, this soul belonged to the dead spirit clan from the netherworld. It was a living being in the form of a soul. At this moment, everyone's eyes were trained on Mi Xian. The shock in their eyes did not diminish even after a long time. This was an outcome that no one had expected. This was especially true for the 12 8-star gods of war from the Tidal Temple. They were relieved that they did not provoke Mi Xian even though they had doubts about his strength. Otherwise, they would have suffered a terrible fate. What a joke. Even Ji Ying, the #1 true disciple of the heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven, who had the strength of a 9-star god of war, had been defeated by him. If not for him holding back, just that punch just now was likely enough to kill Ji Ying. Chapter 3569. Now, Ji Ying was standing in the void, looking a little wretched. He was looking at Mi Xian with a grave expression. Who are you? Ji Ying did not expect the 9-star god of war from the tidal temple to be so terrifying. His soul attack was so powerful that no one below the god realm would be able to match it. Even a 9-star god of war would not be able to withstand Ji Ying's soul attack if he did not have a soul defensive divine weapon. It would be easy for someone like Ji Ying to kill him. Ji Ying's heart was filled with complicated emotions. It was a good thing that the tidal temple had sent such a person to the 9 Serenities battlefield to assist him in searching for Duanling Tian. However, he felt extremely uncomfortable when he saw how domineering the tidal temple was. He felt as though he was being overshadowed by the tidal temple. Ji Ying seemed to have forgotten all about this. He was the one who wanted to test the person in front of him, not the other way around. Someone you can't afford to offend. In response to Ji Ying's question, Mi Xian only gave her this one response. Although this response made Ji Ying furious, he didn't dare to act out. He was deeply afraid that the other party would really kill him in a fit of anger. Others might be wary of him because he was the first true disciple and adopted son of the Heavenly Emperor, but the person in front of him was from the tidal temple's main hall. His background was even stronger than Ji Ying's. As for the people in the surroundings, they were silent. When the upper echelons of Brahma Alliance looked at Mi Xian, their eyes were filled with shock and wariness. They couldn't be any more wary. As for the people from the tidal temple, they still had lingering fears. At the same time, they were no longer dissatisfied or doubtful that the main hall master had ordered them to listen to the person in front of them. This was a world where the strong were respected. They were completely convinced by Mi Xian's strength, and they were willing to follow him wherever he went. Do you have any leads on Duanling Tian? Mi Xian asked as he glanced at Ji Ying. Ji Ying was startled at first, but then he recovered and shook his head. Ever since that Duanling Tian killed my junior brother, the Heavenly Dao Union he was in disbanded, and he has completely disappeared. Recently, our Brahma Alliance has captured a few people who were previously in the Heavenly Dao Alliance, but even after torturing them to death, they still couldn't reveal the whereabouts of Duanling Tian. It's obvious that they really don't know where Duanling Tian is. So far, nothing. At the mention of the death of her junior brother whom she regarded as her own brother, Ji Ying's hands involuntarily clenched into fists as her body began to tremble slightly. Are any of the Heavenly Dao Union's upper echelons among them? Mi Xian asked again. No. Ji Ying shook her head. The reason we were able to capture those people was because they boasted to the outside world that they were from the Heavenly Dao Union and had personally witnessed the battle between Duanling Tian and my junior brother Wulong. They're just ordinary disciples of the Heavenly Dao Union. After the Heavenly Dao Union disbanded, the members of the Heavenly Dao Union, including the Union Master, had all gone their separate ways in fear of an ordinary disciple. Those with some brains naturally wouldn't easily reveal that they were from the Heavenly Dao Union. However, there were also those who liked to boast. If they felt that they could guarantee their own safety, they would still boast to an appropriate extent. As such, there were naturally people who were unlucky. Continue investigating, Ji Ying said in a deep voice. Although I don't want to admit it, I have to admit that Duanling Tian's talent and comprehension are truly exceptional. He's not even 700 years old, yet he already has such accomplishments. If he becomes a 9-star war god, even you won't be his match unless I personally act. If he has just become a 9-star war god, he won't be my match. When Ji Ying said this, she was clearly a little angry. She felt that Ji Ying was looking down on her. Facing Ji Ying's anger, Mi Xian only glanced at her indifferently and didn't respond to the topic. Next, arrange a secluded residence for me in your Brahma Alliance. Currently, Duanling Tian was unaware that the God King of the dead spirit race, Mi Xian, had sealed his soul and entered the 9 Serenities battlefield. He was also unaware that Mi Xian had possessed the body of his old acquaintance, Tang Sanpao. He was currently cultivating in the Northern Profound Alliance's 2nd North District. He was also comprehending the law of space, the space sword Dao, and the Dao of control. The heaven and earth spirit energy in his little world that originated from the ruins of a realm of gods provided him with the best cultivation environment. Moreover, There was no one to disturb him in the Northern Profound Alliance. Therefore, Duan Lingtian's strength had improved rapidly. Everything was calm and peaceful. Even the members of the Northern Profound Alliance who had hoped that Duan Lingtian would be able to destroy the other two major forces in the Second North District after joining the Northern Profound Alliance had gradually given up on the idea as time passed. The new Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was clearly a Buddha-like person. However, they no longer had any hopes for him. On this day, the Northern Profound Alliance that was as peaceful as ever was shocked when a shrill cry rang from outside the Northern Profound Alliance's base. At the same time, figures rushed in from outside in a panic. As they ran in, they shouted in panic, "The people from the He-Shan Alliance are here. The people from the Autumn Clouds Alliance are here as well. The vice leader of the He-Shan Alliance, Qi Kuan, is here personally. He even brought many guardians with him." When the people from outside the Northern Profound Alliance's base rushed in, the members of the Northern Profound Alliance were instantly alarmed. Many people had an ominous feeling in their hearts. Very soon, their ominous premonition came true. The alliance leader of the Autumn Clouds Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen, is outside the Eastern Mountain Gate with a group of people. The alliance leader of the He-Shan Alliance, Yuan Fu, is outside the Southern Mountain Gate. The leader outside the Northern Mountain Gate is Tai Ming, the alliance leader of the Autumn Clouds Alliance. The Northern Profound Alliance's base that was originally peaceful was suddenly besieged on all sides in just a dozen breaths. What should we do? What should we do? The He-Shan Alliance and the Autumn Clouds Alliance are planning to strike first and destroy the Northern Profound Alliance. Why didn't the Grand Guardian join forces with the two alliance leaders earlier to destroy the He-Shan Alliance and the Autumn Clouds Alliance? I hate it. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come back so early. I went out for a few months and only came back yesterday. I'm so unlucky. I just came back, and I'm already in such a mess. I hope that the He-Shan Alliance and the Autumn Clouds Alliance will give us a chance to join them. Do you think they would dare to use someone who can join them in a crisis? But the situation is different in the abysmal battlefield. Who doesn't want to find a big tree to rely on? While many members of the Northern Profound Alliance were panicking, the two alliance leaders and vice leaders of the He-Shan Alliance and the Autumn Clouds Alliance led their men into the Northern Profound Alliance's base. Everyone from the Northern Profound Alliance was killed. Even if they begged for mercy, they couldn't escape death. Shimin Jiangchen, Yuan Fu, what are you doing? Finally, the leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Yiming, arrived. Luo Yiming's expression was extremely ugly. His eyes were so angry that they seemed like they could spit fire. Luo Feng, the vice leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, followed behind Luo Yiming. His face was as dark as it could get. Alliance leader, vice leader. Seeing Luo Yiming and Luo Feng appear, the members of the Northern Profound Alliance who were still fearful of danger gathered around them. It was as if they were only safe by Luo Yiming and Luo Feng's side. Who? At the same time Luo Yiming and Luo Feng appeared, a group of figures appeared. They were the protectors of the Northern Profound Alliance. Each of them was a 7-star war god. There were a total of 11 of them. Alliance leader, Lord Luo Feng. After a while, the guardians of the Northern Profound Alliance stood behind Luo Yiming and Luo Feng. They glared at the members of the He-Shan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance. Of course, although they looked strong on the surface, if one looked closely, they could see a hint of fear in the depths of their eyes. Some of them were even trembling slightly. The He-Shan League and the Qiu Yun League had joined forces to attack the North Profound League. The thing that they didn't want to see the most had happened. In fact, when the Supreme Enforcer of the Northern Profound Alliance arrived, everyone in the Northern Profound Alliance hoped that the Northern Profound Alliance would be able to take down the He-Shan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance one by one. When the Supreme Enforcer of the Northern Profound Alliance had not made a move for a long time, they felt a sense of crisis. Although the He-Shan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance were old rivals, would they put aside their old grudges and join forces to deal with the Northern Profound Alliance? At that time, they weren't sure what the answer was. But now, the answer was obvious. Yes. Luo Yiming, do you still need to ask? The end of the Northern Profound Alliance has arrived. The He-Shan Alliance's leader, Yuan Fu, stared at Luo Yiming and said with a fake smile, Shimenjiangshan, is that what you think as well? Luo Yiming asked in a low voice as he looked at the alliance's leader, Shimenjiangshan. Shimenjiangshan didn't say anything, but the cold gaze he gave Luo Yiming was enough to say it all. Good, good, very good. Luo Yiming was so angry that he laughed. The Northern Profound Alliance hasn't even come to ask for help, and you've already come knocking on our door. It seems like all of you want to destroy the Northern Profound Alliance. Yuan Fu said calmly, Luo Yiming, if you want to blame someone, blame the Northern Profound Alliance for having another 8-star god of war. You should know that the balance between the three alliances can't be broken. Although the members of the Northern Profound Alliance had already guessed this, their expressions still turned ugly when they heard Yuan Fu say it himself. It's because of the Supreme Guardian. The Supreme Guardian joined the Northern Profound Alliance, but he didn't do anything. Now, he's dragging the Northern Profound Alliance down. This Supreme Protector is too incompetent. We shouldn't have let him join the Northern Profound Alliance. The members of the Northern Profound Alliance were whispering to each other. Even the Supreme Guardians of the Northern Profound Alliance had similar thoughts, but they couldn't say it out loud because of their different identities. Chapter 3570. Shut up, Luo Yiming shouted with an ugly expression. The group of people from the Northern Xian Alliance immediately shut their mouths and kept quiet out of fear. Luo Yiming's cold gaze swept across the people who were whispering. When he spoke again, his tone was incomparably cold. Whether or not the Supreme Protector is competent and whether or not the Northern Xian Alliance should let the Supreme Protector join is not something you can talk about. If you are unhappy, you can leave the Northern Xian Alliance anytime. The Northern Xian Alliance doesn't need people like you. When Luo Yiming said that, the group of people who were whispering immediately lowered their heads. If it was any other time, they might have considered leaving the Northern Profound Alliance after hearing Luo Yiming's words. However, the Heishan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance were clearly planning to kill everyone in the Northern Profound Alliance, regardless of whether they wanted to leave or not. Just a moment ago, many people were shouting that as long as they didn't kill him, they could leave the Northern Xian Alliance and even join the Heishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance. However, those people were all killed without exception. At this point in time, they knew that their survival depended on their alliance leader. If their alliance leader abandoned them, they would be killed by the Heishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance before they could even leave the North Profound Alliance's encampment. How domineering. The alliance leader of the Heishan Alliance, Yuan Fu, laughed and looked at Luo Yiming mockingly. Luo Yiming, actually, they are right. The calamity that befell the Northern Profound Alliance today is all because of that Supreme Protector of your Northern Profound Alliance. Are you still going to protect that Supreme Protector of your Northern Profound Alliance? Yuan Fu's face was filled with mockery. Oh right, where's your Supreme Protector? Is he so scared that he peed his pants under his bed? Yuan Fu's mocking smile became even more radiant. However, the group of people from the Heishan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance couldn't help but laugh when they heard Yuan Fu's words. What the alliance leader said might be possible. I wonder what an 8-star war god looks like when he pees his pants. He must be as pitiful as an ordinary person. Haha, maybe even more pitiful. At this moment, no matter if it was the Heishan Alliance or the Qiu Yun Alliance, they were all very pleased. Yuan Fu, do you really want to meet the Supreme Protector of our Northern Profound Alliance? Luo Yiming looked at Yuan Fu. His eyes narrowed into slits, a cold light flashing through them. I do want to see it. Yuan Fu nodded. Your North Profound Alliance, Heishan Alliance, and Alliance Chief Shimen's Autumn Clouds Alliance have been at odds with each other for many years. Now that your North Profound Alliance has fallen, I have to meet the culprit. Alliance Master Shimen, what do you think? Yuan Fu looked at Shimenjiangshan and asked with a smile. I want to meet him. Shimenjiangshan's lips curled into a cold arc as killing intent flashed in his eyes. It was the Supreme Protector of the North Xian Alliance that made him feel threatened. In the end, he had no choice but to put down his pride and seek cooperation with the Heishan Alliance. It was the first time in his life that he had been in such a predicament. This embarrassment was also brewing in the depths of his heart, and it turned into a deep-seated hatred for the Supreme Guardian of the North Profound Alliance. Alliance Master Shimen, According to our agreement, I will let you kill him, Yuan Fu said with a bright smile. Thank you. Shimin Jiangshan repeatedly expressed his thanks. Brother. At this moment, Luo Feng, who was standing behind Luo Yiming, was a little anxious. He transmitted his voice. Are you still going to keep us in suspense? What method do you have to deal with the current situation? Only Luo Feng himself knew how anxious he was right now. Before the Hashan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance came here, he had mentioned this to his cousin. However, his cousin said that he couldn't wait for the Hashan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance to come here and kill them. Why did his cousin say that? Why did his cousin keep him in suspense? Originally, as time passed, he was no longer curious about this matter. However, when faced with such a situation, he couldn't help but recall his cousin Luo Yiming's confidence. Who wants to kill me? Before Luo Yiming could respond to Luo Feng, a voice suddenly rang out in front of Luo Yiming. At the same time, under everyone's gaze, a figure appeared out of thin air in front of Luo Yiming. This person was wearing a loose black robe, a black cloak, and a conical bamboo hat. His head was slightly lowered. His entire body was shrouded in a disguise. His face and figure couldn't be seen clearly, making him seem mysterious. He's the Supreme Protector. Because some of the members of the Northern Profound Alliance had seen this person before and had even described him, many of them guessed that he was the mysterious Grand Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance. Supreme Protector. While the crowd was guessing the identity of the person in front of them, Luo Yiming bowed to Duan Lingtian. I had no choice but to disturb Supreme Protector today. I hope Supreme Protector can forgive me. Luo Yiming's attitude was very humble. It could even be said that he was extremely humble. The people from the North Xian Alliance were shocked by the news. Even the deputy leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Feng, was stunned. At this moment, a crazy thought appeared in his mind. Could it be that his cousin's confidence came from the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance? However, although this Supreme Protector's strength was strong, perhaps even stronger than his cousin, it was still unrealistic for him to join forces with him and his cousin to deal with the 4 8-star war gods from the Hishan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance. Even if the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was a peak 8-star god of war and his cousin was close to a peak 8-star god of war, their opponents had 2 peak 8-star gods of war and 2 peak 8-star gods of war who were on par with the Supreme Protector. 3 against 4, there was no way they could win. Perhaps, my cousin's confidence comes from the divine artifact in the Supreme Protector's possession. However, the divine artifact isn't much stronger than an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact soul. Luo Feng's heart was filled with doubt. The Alliance leader is so respectful to the Supreme Protector. The people of the Northern Profound Alliance were dumbfounded by the scene before them. The leader of the Hashan Alliance, Yuan Fu, couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Luo Yiming, do you think that by acting like this, we will feel that his strength is far greater than yours and will feel fear? Unless he's a 9-star god of war or a peak 8-star god of war like the former second leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wu Long, or the former vice leader of the Heavenly Tao Alliance, Duan Ling Tian, the former vice leader of the Heavenly Tao Alliance, or the former vice leader of the Heavenly Tao Alliance. Upon hearing Yuan Fu's words, the people from the Hishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance who were looking at the cloaked man calmed down. Buffed. He's dreaming if he thinks he can scare us. The Alliance leader of the Hishan Alliance can see through the Alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance. However, since the Alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance is using such a move, it seems like they're really afraid. The bewilderment in the eyes of the Hishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance disappeared. Instead, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. It was as if they couldn't wait to kill everyone in the North Profound Alliance and turn their base into a bloodbath. You want to kill me? The voice that came out of nowhere sounded again. This time, everyone heard it clearly. It was the voice of the cloaked man. And now, his blurry face was facing the direction of the Qiu Yun Alliance's alliance leader, Shimin Jiangshan. So what if I am? Shimin Jiangshan's face was cold and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Today, a person like you who hides his head and tail will definitely die. Is that so? Duan Lingtian, who was wearing a black robe, a black cloak, and a conical bamboo hat, spoke indifferently. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared from where he stood with a whoosh. Careful, Yuan Fu warned in alarm. As for Shimin Jiangchen, when he saw Duan Lingtian disappear, a mocking smile appeared on his face. When you appeared just now, I knew you were proficient in the law of space. I've already prepared for teleportation. Practically at the same time that Duan Lingtian appeared before Shimin Jiangchen, the energy that had long since been accumulating and waiting to be unleashed gushed out from Shimin Jiangchen's body. It was like a torrent bursting out of a dam, and its momentum was vast as if it could crush everything. If it was any other 8-star war god, even a peak 8-star war god, hastily teleporting in front of Shimin Jiangchen, facing Shimin Jiangchen's attack at the same time, not to mention taking the initiative to gain the upper hand, they would definitely be battered and exhausted. However, Duan Lingtian wasn't any other 8-star war god. His strength might not have reached the level of a 9-star war god, but it was infinitely close. Most importantly, he had grasped the Tao of control of the 4 Taos of heaven and earth, as well as the Tao of sword of the 4 Taos of heaven and earth. It wasn't as simple as comprehending the laws to a certain degree. The Tao of control, almost at the same time that Shimin Jiangchen's power erupted, the space before Duan Lingtian fell under his control, causing Shimin Jiangchen's power to be completely suppressed and annihilated. At the same time, the black cloak on Duan Lingtian's back whistled out. It was almost straightened, and it carried a hint of sword intent. It was like a broadsword that tore through the sky, and it brought along a dazzling and gorgeous red color. If one looked closely, they would see that it was blood. Lord Alliance Master. The Autumn Clouds Alliance's Vice Alliance Master Tai Ming immediately let out a terrified cry. Under the shocked and incredulous gazes of the crowd, the Autumn Clouds Alliance's Alliance Master Shimin Jiangchen, one of the 3 giants of the northern second region of the 9 Serenities battlefield, had his head flying into the sky. Then, his body was crushed into a bloody mist by the devastating spatial energy. Shimin Jiangchen, who had been alive a moment ago and had declared that he would kill the Northern Profound Alliance's supreme protector, had died just like that. The entire place was deathly silent. Chapter 3571. Whoosh! Waves of coldness hit the faces of the people from the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance. It was the blood mist that fell from the sky. It was cold to the touch, but the hearts of the people from the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance were even colder. The leader of the Qiu-Yun Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen, an existence close to the peak of the 8-star war god realm, died just like that. Just now, they didn't even have time to react. It could be said that Shimin Jiangchen was instantly killed by the enemy. As for the people from the Northern Profound Alliance, except for the alliance leader Luo Yiming, who was smiling as if he wasn't surprised by this, the others, including the Vice Alliance leader Luo Feng, were dumbfounded. Their supreme protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was actually this powerful? Some of the people from the Northern Profound Alliance thought of their doubts and complaints about the supreme protector and felt their faces burning, as if they had just been slapped in the face. Now, the people from the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance looked at each other and saw despair in each other's eyes. Heavens! This supreme protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was able to instantly kill the alliance leader of the Qiu-Yun Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen. How could the other 3 8-star war gods of their alliance be his match? At this moment, they were all in despair. In fact, they weren't the only ones in despair. Even the alliance leader Yuan Fu, the vice alliance leader Qi Kuan, and the vice alliance leader Tai Ming of the Qiu-Yun Alliance were in despair. As the saying goes, the layman enjoys the show, while the expert appreciates the skill. Just now, when the supreme protector of the Northern Profound Alliance made his move, they couldn't clearly see what happened in front of them because of the black cloak. However, the attack that the black cloak displayed before instantly killing Shimin Jiangchen had already frightened them. They felt that even if they were in his place, they would have died without a doubt. Alliance leader, what should we do now? Qi Kuan asked Yuan Fu through voice transmission. Right now, he regretted following the Northern Profound Alliance. He seemed to have completely forgotten this time. Killing the Northern Profound Alliance was something he had been insisting on recently. Lord Li Feng. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Yuan Fu, the leader of the He-Shan Alliance, cupped his hands toward Duan Lingtian and said respectfully, "We are only targeting the Northern Profound Alliance this time, not you. If Master Li Feng is willing to stay out of today's matter, then when the Northern Profound Alliance is wiped out by the Mountain Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance, the wealth of the Northern Profound Alliance will belong to Master Li Feng. Consider it our gift to Master Li Feng." Not only was Yuan Fu humble, but he was also tempting Duan Lingtian with the wealth of the entire Northern Profound Alliance. Right now, Yuan Fu, the leader of the Heishan Alliance, was filled with regret. If God gave him a second chance, even if the Qiu Yun Alliance held a knife to his neck, he would never join forces with them to attack the Northern Profound Alliance. What a joke. Just the person in front of him was enough to wipe out the Mountain Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance. He didn't even need the 2 8-star war gods of the Northern Profound Alliance to do it. Upon hearing Yuan Fu's words, most of the people from the Northern Profound Alliance turned pale immediately. They looked at Duan Lingtian's silhouette anxiously, afraid that their supreme guardian would be tempted by the offer. Only Luo Yiming and Luo Feng knew that Duan Lingtian wasn't that kind of person because they had spent a lot of time with Duan Lingtian. Furthermore, someone of Duan Lingtian's level wouldn't be interested in their wealth. However, Luo Yiming decided to step forward and promise their Grand Guardian that after destroying the Mountain Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance, they would give him all the wealth of the two alliances. Grand? Luo Yiming had just opened his mouth and spat out a syllable when he shut his mouth tightly again. This was because the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Xian Alliance made a move the moment Yuan Fu finished speaking. Buzz! It was still the same black cloak. It swept out like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Yuan Fu didn't expect Duan Lingtian to make a move and his head was chopped off. Then, a mist of blood fell from the sky. Yuan Fu, the alliance leader of the Mountain Alliance, followed in the footsteps of the alliance leader of the Qiu Yun Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen. Lord Alliance Leader. Qi Kuan's expression changed, and he looked miserable. If it was before, he would be happy that the alliance leader of the Mountain Alliance died because it meant that he would be the new alliance leader of the Mountain Alliance. But now, he couldn't feel happy at all. This was because the death of this alliance leader was a death knell for him. Run. Qi Kuan and the vice alliance leader of the Qiu Yun Alliance looked at each other, and both of them sent a message to each other at the same time. After sending the message, they ran in 2 different directions. Vice alliance leader? As for the other members of the Heishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance, they had never thought that their vice alliance masters would abandon them. Their expressions immediately changed, and at the same time, they released their energy, wanting to escape as well. However, accompanied by 2 soft but ear-piercing sounds, they saw that their 2 vice alliance leaders were also cut into pieces like watermelons by the black cloak that was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. They followed in the footsteps of their 2 alliance leaders. In the blink of an eye, the 4 8-star gods of war from the Mountain Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance were all dead. All of this happened in the span of 10 breaths. Within 10 breaths, 4 8-star gods of war were killed. Now, the members of the Northern Profound Alliance looked at the black figure floating in the air with reverence. Even the alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Yiming, was no exception. You should be able to deal with the rest, right? Duan Lingtian put on the black cloak behind him again, and it fluttered even though there was no wind. He turned around and asked the alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Yiming, "Grand Guardian, leave the rest to me." Luo Yiming quickly nodded and replied, "This time, we'll have to trouble you to help the Northern Profound Alliance." Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded and then teleported, disappearing in front of everyone's eyes. Coming and going without a trace was nothing more than this. As for the members of the Heishan Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance, they didn't dare to run away after the death of their alliance leader and vice alliance leader. Now that they saw the Supreme Guardian of the North Profound Alliance leaving, they started to flee. However, without an 8-star god of war to lead them, they were no different from a mob to the Northern Profound Alliance who had 2 8-star gods of war. In addition, the members of the Northern Profound Alliance were already full of anger. Now that their Grand Guardian had boosted their morale, they were all full of vigor. In the end, none of the members of the Mountain Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance were able to escape. I plan to give all the spoils of war today to the Grand Guardian. Does anyone have any objections? After resolving this crisis, The alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance stood in the air and looked around as he asked in a serious tone. He felt that the Grand Guardian didn't care about these spoils of war. However, some things couldn't be avoided just because the Grand Guardian didn't care about them. It was one thing to give them to the Grand Guardian and be rejected. It was another thing to not give them to the Grand Guardian. They couldn't be compared. No. Luo Feng was the first to shake his head. No. Alliance leader, if it wasn't for the Grand Guardian, we would have ended up like them. All the spoils of war should be given to the Grand Guardian. No one in the Northern Profound Alliance had any objections to Luo Yiming's words. They all felt that it was only right. The members of the Northern Profound Alliance were in high spirits. The members of the Mountain Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance were the backbone of the Mountain Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance. As for the remaining members of the Mountain Alliance and Qiu Yun Alliance, even if they didn't make a move, they would have scattered the moment they heard the news. From today onwards, the Northern Profound Alliance would dominate the Second North District. I didn't expect the Grand Guardian to appear in the Northern Profound Alliance. Based on the Grand Guardian's strength, he is definitely a top 8 star god of war. A member of the Northern Profound Alliance exclaimed, "A top 8 star god of war? Even an ordinary top 8 star god of war wouldn't be able to turn the situation around today." After all, the alliance leader of the Mountain Alliance, Yuan Fu, and the alliance leader of the Qiu Yun Alliance, Shimin Jiangchen, are both close to the top 8 star god of war. The Grand Guardian is definitely one of the top 8 star gods of war. He might even be on par with the former second alliance leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wu Long, and the short-lived vice alliance leader of the Heavenly Law Alliance, Duan Lingtian. I think so too. Duan Lingtian naturally didn't know about the Northern Profound Alliance's change in attitude towards him. Today, he was awakened in the middle of cultivation. The alliance leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Yiming, had sent him a message that forced him to come out of his seclusion. After all, if he didn't make a move today, the entire Northern Profound Alliance would be annihilated. At that time, he would be the only one left. He would have to find another faction to stay in. This was something he couldn't allow. Even if he didn't consider this, he could not just stand by and do nothing because of the promise he made to Luo Yiming, the leader of the Northern Profound Alliance. For this reason, he made a move. After making a move, he returned to his cultivation. After all, his celestial origin energy was on the verge of transforming into divine energy. He had a feeling it wouldn't take long for his celestial origin energy to develop the divine energy's characteristics. At that time, he would become a 9 star god of war. At that time, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the 9 Serenities battlefield. As long as he was in the 9 Serenities battlefield, he would not be afraid of Jiying, the leader of the Brahma Alliance, or the people from the Tidal Temple. The heaven and earth spirit energy in the realms of gods is supposed to be absorbed by the gods to cultivate. I don't feel anything special after absorbing the heaven and earth spirit energy in my little world, but my celestial origin energy is already showing signs of transforming. This is amazing. Duan Lingtian, naturally, decided to strike while the iron was hot. He wanted to temper his celestial origin energy to the point where it would develop the divine energy's characteristics. This was the most crucial step before one could become a god. Only after this step could one be considered a demigod. Chapter 3572. The Second North District didn't have a strong presence among the many districts in the north. After all, it was only one of the many districts in the north. However, recently, the Second North District had become famous because of something that happened in the Second North District. One of the 3 superpowers, the Northern Qian Alliance, had destroyed the other 2 superpowers, the Heishan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance. Since then, the Northern Qian Alliance had become the most powerful force in the Second North District. Although there were many superpowers in the North District that were the most powerful in their respective districts. However, most of the superpowers in their respective districts were either stronger from the start, or they had defeated their opponents. It was rare to see a superpower like the Northern Qian Alliance that had defeated 2 superpowers who were on par with them. Didn't the Northern Qian Alliance only have 2 8-star gods of war? I know that the Heishan Alliance and the Qiu Yun Alliance each have 2 8-star gods of war. How could they not destroy the Northern Qian Alliance when they worked together? Moreover, they were destroyed by the Northern Xian Alliance. When the news of the Second North District spread to the other districts in the north, many people felt that it was unbelievable. However, as time passed, more and more accurate news spread from the Second North District. Only then did they realize that this seemingly impossible matter was indeed true. The Northern Xian Alliance destroyed the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance not long ago. The Northern Xian Alliance's Grand Guardian killed the alliance leader of the Qiu-Yun Alliance and the alliance leader of the He-Shan Alliance. Even the two vice-alliance leaders of the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance were killed by him while they were running away. When the news spread, the entire North District was shocked. The alliance leaders of the He-Shan Alliance and the Qiu-Yun Alliance were famous in the North District. They were very close to becoming 8-star gods of war. Even such people were killed in seconds? Even a top 8-star god of war wouldn't be able to do this. Could the Northern Xian Alliance's Grand Guardian be a 9-star god of war? If he's a 9-star god of war, then everything can be explained. I heard that the Northern Xian Alliance's Grand Guardian isn't a 9-star god of war. Moreover, why would a 9-star god of war stay in the North District? Even in the Central region, a 9-star god of war is a top figure. When they found out that the Grand Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was only an 8-star war god, many people were shocked. So far, among the 8-star gods of war that have appeared in the 9 Serenities battlefield, other than the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance, I'm afraid that only the former number 19-star god of war and the current number 19-star god of war have this kind of ability. That's right. This Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance is comparable to the former second leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wu Long, and the short-lived vice leader of the Heavenly Tao Alliance, Duanling Tian. Do you know the name of the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance? I heard that his name is Li Feng. Just like this, the name Li Feng rose to fame in the northern part of the 9th Serenity battlefield like a comet. Practically all the people in the northern part of the 9th Serenity battlefield knew this name, as long as they weren't in closed-door cultivation all the time. In fact, after the name Li Feng was promoted in the north, it was no surprise that the people in the other parts of the 9 Serenities battlefield had more or less heard about the existence of such a person in the north. This included the Brahma Alliance as well. Naturally, by the time the news reached the Brahma Alliance, more than half a year had passed since Li Feng, the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance, killed the 4 8-star war gods in one strike. During this time, the atmosphere in the Brahma Alliance was tense. This was because everyone in the Brahma Alliance had been busy searching for the whereabouts of the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Duanling Tian. Anyone who could find any useful clues would be rewarded generously by the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven. More than half a year ago, the Tidal Temple had sent a Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance. Then, the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was sent by the Tidal Temple. The Supreme Guardian of the Tidal Temple was the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple's branch in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven. He was of the same generation as Wu Hongqing, the Hall Master of the main hall of the Tidal Temple. Moreover, he was Wu Hongqing's junior brother. The two of them had known each other since they were young and had grown up together in the Tidal Temple. However, Wu Hongqing's talent had become even more outstanding, and he was now a god king. On the other hand, the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple's branch in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven was stuck at the demigod realm. He was unable to take the final step to become a god. The Hall Master of the Tidal Temple's branch in the 10,000 Beast Heaven was called Yu Chaochuan. He was a middle-aged man with a medium build and an ordinary face. He looked harmless, but he was a powerful 9-star war god. Wu Hongqing, the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, had asked Yu Chaochuan to help Mi Xian because of their close relationship and Mi Xian's special identity. After all, Mi Xian looked exactly like the former young Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, Tang Sanpao. Lord Mi Xian. Although Yu Chaochuan and Mi Xian lived very close to each other in Brahma Alliance, this was the second time Yu Chaochuan had come to find Mi Xian. The first time he had come to find Mi Xian was when he had just arrived. Before he came in, he had learned from his good friend Wu Hongqing that Mi Xian was a god king. Although the person in front of him still looked like the former young Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, Tang Sanpao, he was no longer Tang Sanpao. He was Mi Xian, the former patriarch of the dead spirit race. Most importantly, he was a god king. This was a god king expert. Although Yu Chaochuan was a 9-star war god, he was nothing in front of a god king. That was why he had maintained a humble attitude when he saw Mi Xian in the 9 Serenities battlefield. It might not be easy for Mi Xian to kill him in the 9 Serenities battlefield, but what about outside? He couldn't stay in the 9 Serenities battlefield forever. Outside the 9 Serenities battlefield, an expert like Mi Xian could turn him to dust with a snap of his fingers. Is there something you need? Mi Xian glanced at Yu Chaochuan indifferently. He put on a very haughty attitude. A mere 9-star war god was like an ant in his eyes. There was no need for him to be polite. Lord Mi Xian, a grand enforcer named Li Feng, has appeared in the Northern Profound Alliance of the 2nd Northern District. Although he's only an 8-star war god, he has the strength to instantly kill someone close to a peak 8-star war god. Yu Chaochuan said bluntly. So what? Mi Xian asked again. His tone was slightly impatient. Even a 9-star war god was nothing in his eyes, let alone an 8-star war god who was weaker than a 9-star war god. He's Mi Xian's man. Yu Chaochuan wasn't annoyed by Mi Xian's impatience. He continued patiently. Li Feng wears a black robe, a black cloak, and a bamboo hat. Ordinary people can't see his true appearance. It seems like he's intentionally hiding his appearance and identity. In addition, he's skilled in the laws of space. When Yu Chaochuan said those words, Mi Xian hadn't reacted yet. When he heard Yu Chaochuan's last sentence, his originally unconcerned expression instantly tensed up and his pupils contracted. You mean this Li Feng might be Duan Lingtian? Mi Xian wasn't stupid. On the contrary, as the former patriarch of the dead spirit race, he was smarter than most people. Precisely. Yu Chaochuan nodded. Does that Jiying know about this? Mi Xian asked. He does. Yu Chaochuan nodded again. Alliance Lord Jiying was the one who told me about this and told me to tell Lord Mi Xian. Ever since Jiying had been defeated by Mi Xian, he hadn't sought him out. Even now, half a year later, he hadn't personally come to find Mi Xian, even though he'd learned of some suspicious clues. It was clear that he wasn't very willing to see Mi Xian. He sure is arrogant. I can't believe he didn't come to tell me about this himself. Mi Xian's eyes flashed coldly. He snorted and left with a whoosh, vanishing from Yu Chaochuan's sight in the blink of an eye. However, the direction Mi Xian was heading surprised Yu Chaochuan. That doesn't seem to be the direction of the north. The Brahma Alliance was located in the center of the 9 Serenities battlefield, so the north was naturally to the north of the Brahma Alliance. However, Mi Xian was heading in the southeast direction. Yu Chaochuan was momentarily stunned. Only then did Yu Chaochuan remember that he'd come from that direction as well. That was where the Alliance Lord of the Brahma Alliance, Ji Ying, cultivated. This Lord Mi Xian isn't going to cause trouble for Ji Ying, is he? Yu Chaochuan's heart shook. He didn't dare hesitate and immediately followed Mi Xian. When he arrived, he saw Mi Xian's figure drifting away again, heading north in the direction of the northern region. On the other side, the Alliance Lord of the Brahma Alliance, Ji Ying, was standing where he was. He had one hand on his shoulder that was completely sunken in. Traces of blood could be seen at the corner of his mouth. Alliance Lord Ji Ying, Yu Chaochuan was slightly taken aback. Was this Lord Mi Xian's doing? Was it because Ji Ying hadn't personally told him that the Northern Profound Alliance's supreme guardian, Li Feng, might be the Duan Lingtian in the 2nd North District? Ji Ying snorted coldly as he glanced at Yu Chaochuan coldly. The people from the Tidal Temple are really short-tempered. Last time, Mi Xian injured me. I was the one who provoked him, so I'll admit it. This time, he came to my door and injured me for no reason. I won't let this matter rest. I'll tell my master about this and have him demand an explanation from the Tidal Temple. Ji Ying's expression turned even paler as he spoke. Ji Ying originally thought that Yu Chaochuan would apologize to him on Mi Xian's behalf and beg him not to make a big deal out of this. However, he didn't expect Yu Chaochuan to nod. Alliance Leader Ji Ying, I support you on this matter. You're on the side of reason and not family. Look for the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven. Would that work? Yu Chaochuan sneered inwardly. Chapter 3573. Whenever Yu Chaochuan thought about what Wu Hongqing, the hall master of the Tidal Temple, had told him before he came to the Nine Serenities battlefield, he couldn't help but think that he had to be extremely careful when facing Lord Mixian. What a joke. Lord Mixian was a bona fide mid-level god king. Even if he temporarily occupied Tang Sanpeio's body, his celestial core power only had the basic characteristics of divine power and had not completely transformed into divine power. He only had the physical attack of a 9-star god of war. However, once he left the Nine Serenities battlefield, his soul attack would be at the level of a divine king. Moreover, it was the kind of soul attack that a middle divine king who specialized in soul attacks used. Even an ordinary lower divine king would find it hard to block it. Although the heavenly emperor of the Ji-Fan celestial sect had ascended to godhood, he might not even be a god king. Would he dare to provoke Mixian? What a joke. For this reason, Yu Chaochuan only took Ji Ying's threat as a joke. Right now, Ji Ying only thought that Yu Chaochuan was deliberately being sarcastic. She was so angry that her expression changed slightly. I will immediately send someone out of the Nine Serenities battlefield to report this matter to my master. Do as you wish. Yu Chaochuan shrugged and turned to leave. He couldn't help but roll his eyes as he turned around. Did this Ji Ying really think that she and her master were important? In front of Lord Mixian, even his master would have to bow. I hope Lord Mixian will be able to gain something from his trip to the Northern Profound Alliance in the 2nd Northern District. If the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance is really Duan Ling Tian, I'll be able to leave the Nine Serenities battlefield and report back to my sect. The Ninth Serenity battlefield was considered a decent training ground for 9-star gods of war. Many 9-star gods of war had also reached the threshold of becoming gods in this place. However, this was only true for ordinary 9-star gods of war. Yu Chaochuan was no ordinary 9-star god of war. He didn't even remember how long he had stayed in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Because he had stayed here for so long, he couldn't help but want to leave as soon as possible. Now, to Yu Chaochuan, the Nine Serenities battlefield was not a path to godhood, but an obstacle to godhood. If it was not for his old friend, Wu Hongqing, the hall master of the Tidal Temple, looking for him, he would not have entered the Nine Serenities battlefield. After Yu Chaochuan left, Ji Ying's expression naturally became even uglier. Leave the Nine Serenities battlefield and inform my master about this. Tell him to seek an explanation from the Tidal Temple's hall master. Actually, in the beginning, Ji Ying indeed wanted to scare Yu Chaochuan, but Yu Chaochuan's attitude made him even angrier, to the extent that he really sent a message to leave the Nine Serenities battlefield and inform Ji Fantian and Heavenly Emperor Ji Yu of this matter. Although Ji Ying and his master were separated by the Nine Serenities battlefield and the Devata realm, they still had a special connection. It was also because of this that he found out about Wu Long's death not long after. Although he had Wu Long's soul orb in his storage ring, it would still take some time to discover it. Mixian? It did not take long for Ji Yu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Ji Fantian, to receive news from the Nine Serenities battlefield. Initially, he thought his first true disciple, who was also his adopted son, had brought him good news about the Duan Ling Tian. Ji Yu knew very well what kind of person his disciple was. He was capable of handling most matters on his own. Since Ji Yu had informed him of this matter, it was clear Ji Yu was very important to him. Ying-er is on the verge of becoming a god. If I don't let this matter rest, his path to becoming a god will be obstructed. Ji Yu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Ji Fantian, left the Ji Fantian's heaven and earth mansion. He went to the Tidal Temple's branch in the Ji Fantian and was teleported to the Tidal Temple's main hall. With Ji Yu's status, he could go to the independent realm where the main hall of the Tidal Temple was located to meet Wu Hongqing, the palace master of the Tidal Temple. Hall Master Wu, you must give me an explanation for this matter. Ji Yu suppressed his anger and told Wu Hongqing everything that had happened. That Mixian from the Tidal Temple is too presumptuous. He hit my disciple just because he wanted to. Is he not putting me, Ji Yu, in his eyes? Ji Yu suppressed his anger in front of Wu Hongqing because although he had become a god a long time ago, he was only a higher god and had yet to break through to the God King stage. Wu Hongqing, on the other hand, was already a lesser god king. If they fought, Ji Yu would not be a match for Wu Hongqing. Naturally, Wu Hongqing did not dare to kill Jiyu since Jiyu had connections in the realms of gods. Even as the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, he had to be wary of Jiyu. Jiyu were old friends. Wu Hongqing smiled faintly in the face of Jiyu's accusation. Since we're old friends, I'll send Mi Xian to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven after he comes out. The Tidal Temple won't interfere no matter what you do to him. What do you think? Jiyu had thought about many things on his way here. He was certain a 9-star god of war like Mi Xian had a high status in the eyes of Wu Hongqing, the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple. Even if he came here to seek justice, he would most likely return empty-handed. The only reason he came here was to seek justice for his disciple, Jiang. However, he did not expect Wu Hongqing, the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple, would not only not protect Mi Xian, but he would even send Mi Xian to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven. Hall Master Wu, what do you mean by that? Jiyu frowned. He had lived for many years. Naturally, he could tell something was amiss. However, he could not figure out why Wu Hongqing would do this. Nothing. Wu Hongqing shook his head. Jiyu, aren't you looking for trouble with Mi Xian? After he comes out of the 9 Serenities battlefield, I'll send him to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven for you to deal with. What? Do I have to teach you how to deal with him? As Wu Hongqing spoke, he, who had stopped shaking his head, continued shaking his head. Humph. Jiyu snorted coldly. Hall Master Wu, although I don't know what you're trying to do. If you're trying to scare me by retreating in order to advance, I'm afraid your efforts are destined to be in vain. Since the Tidal Temple dares to send Mi Xian to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven, I'll teach him a lesson on your behalf. I only hope the Tidal Temple won't go back on its word. Otherwise, I'll personally take him away. As soon as Jiyu finished speaking, he turned around and left before Wu Hongqing could say anything. Wu Hongqing was left behind with a stunned expression on his face. I'm trying to advance by retreating? Wu Hongqing felt as though he had been wronged. However, when he thought of what Jiyu said before he left, Wu Hongqing's eyes subconsciously narrowed, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Jiyu, this time you're too smart for your own good. Even I don't dare to provoke Mi Xian. You're a greater deity. Your courage is commendable. After Jiyu returned to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven, he sent a message to his true disciple and adopted son, Jiang. I've helped you with the matter you asked me to do. I've made a trip to the Tidal Temple, and the Hall Master of the Tidal Temple has personally agreed to let Mi Xian come to our Ji Fantian and beg for forgiveness after he leaves the 9 Serenities battlefield. He's also at my mercy. At that time, you can leave the 9 Serenities battlefield and join in the fun. Let's see how the arrogant Mi Xian cowers in front of your master. These were Jiyu's exact words. Jiying's eyes lit up when he heard Jiyu's words. At the same time, he felt relieved. Mi Xian, when you come to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven to beg for forgiveness, I'll leave the 9 Serenities battlefield for you and return to the heavenly palace of the Ji Fantian heaven to see how embarrassed you are. I hope you'll still be as arrogant as you were when you attacked me. As she muttered to herself, a cold glint flashed across Jiying's eyes. It was as if she was about to devour someone. Naturally, Mi Xian was unaware that Jiying had sent someone to inform Jiyu, the heavenly emperor of the Ji Fantian heaven of the Ji Fantian heaven. Even if he knew, he would not have cared. The heavenly emperor of the Ji Fantian heaven? What was that? Mi Xian was currently making his way to the north from the central region. Soon, he arrived at the 2nd North District. Do you know where the Northern Profound Alliance is? If you don't, you can die now. When Mi Xian saw a figure, he stepped forward and grabbed him, his face expressionless. As for the person who was grabbed by him, he felt the terrifying power coming from his hand and thought of the threatening words he said. Immediately, his expression changed greatly, and he didn't dare to be negligent in the slightest. My lord, I know, I can lead the way for my lord. The Northern Profound Alliance was currently a powerful force in the 2nd North District. It was second to none in the 2nd North District. For such a force, anyone who had stayed in the 2nd North District for a period of time would know where it was based. Even if they had not been there, they would have heard of it. Let's go. Xian loosened his grip on the man, who quickly led the way to the Northern Dark Alliance's base. "My lord, the Northern Dark Alliance's base is within this glacier. It's said that it's completely hollowed out. May I go now?" As he spoke, he looked at Xian apprehensively.
Scram.
Xian waved his hand impatiently. With a flash, he appeared in front of the Northern Profound Alliance's mountain gate. As for the person leading the way, he heaved a sigh of relief and left as if he was fleeing. Xian was stopped at the entrance of the Northern Dark Alliance's encampment. "Who are you? What business do you have with the Northern Profound Alliance?" A Northern Profound Alliance disciple guarding the entrance asked in a low voice as he watched Xian approach. Chapter 3574. Swoosh. Swoosh. Xian's eyes flashed with a sharp light as soon as the Northern Profound Alliance's disciple finished speaking. Then, a short-lived beam of light shot out from his eyes and entered the disciple's glabella in the blink of an eye. In the next instant, the disciple of the North Xian Alliance, who was brimming with energy a moment ago, fell to the ground with a heavy thud, sending ice shards flying everywhere. The remaining disciples of the North Xian Alliance were shocked by what they saw. Even the North Profound Alliance's elder, who had been sitting idly by the side and hadn't looked at Xian, couldn't help but look at him in shock. Such a swift and fierce soul attack was truly shocking. Even the elder of the North Xian Alliance was unable to react in time to save the disciple of the North Xian Alliance. "Who are you? Why have you come to the Northern Profound Alliance and killed our disciples?" The elder of the North Xian Alliance stepped forward and sent a message to his superior, one of the guardians of the North Xian Alliance, to inform him of what had happened. "I'll be right there." The person who received the message was Qi Zhongyu, the sixth guardian of the North Xian Alliance. He was a handsome young man in a green robe and was playing chess with a middle-aged man. Qi Zhongyu's expression changed, and the middle-aged man who was sitting opposite him was shocked. "Sixth guardian, what's wrong with you?" "Fourth guardian, someone killed our disciples at the southern gate of the North Xian Alliance." As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Zhongyu left like a gust of wind. "What?" The middle-aged man stood up immediately and his expression changed. "Who is it? How dare he kill our disciples at the southern gate of the North Xian Alliance?" In the next moment, the middle-aged man's face was filled with anger. He soared into the air and followed closely behind Qi Zhongyu. After a while, the two of them appeared at the southern gate of the North Xian Alliance. "Fourth guardian, sixth guardian." The elder of the North Xian Alliance and the disciples of the North Xian Alliance bowed respectfully when they saw the two of them. At the same time, their eyes were filled with excitement. The guardians of the Northern Profound Alliance were all seven-star gods of war. "Fourth protector, sixth protector." He's the one who killed the disciples of the Northern Profound Alliance. The elder of the North Profound Alliance said with a mournful expression. At this moment, Qi Zhongyu and the other two who had just rushed out saw the Northern Profound Alliance's disciple lying on the ground. He didn't have any injuries on his body, but his eyes were not only dull, but there was also a hint of black light in them. This was usually the sign of a person who had been killed by a soul attack. This person specializes in soul attacks? In the next moment, Qi Zhongyu and Zhang Xian turned their gazes to the young man standing not too far away. "Very good. 2 more people have come." Seeing 2 more people appear, Xian grinned and said, "You guys, do any of you know where that Grand Enforcer of the Northern Profound Alliance is? Who are you? Why did you kill the disciples of the Northern Profound Alliance?" Qi Zhongyu looked at Xian with a gloomy face and asked coldly, ignoring Xian's question, "How dare you kill a disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance? Don't even think about leaving today." The middle-aged man who came out with Qi Zhongyu, the fourth protector of the Northern Profound Alliance, Qiu Fu, stared at Xian with a murderous look. "Humph." Xian responded with a cold snort and a slap. Bang! Xian's slap caused a violent energy to explode in the air. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped Qiu Fu and landed on his body before he could react. In the next moment, Qiu Fu's entire body turned into a bloody mist. The bloody mist swept across the sky and slapped Qi Zhongyu's face, the elder of the Northern Profound Alliance, and the other disciples of the Northern Profound Alliance. They felt cold and stiff, and a chill rose from the soles of their feet to their heads. At this moment, they felt as though they had lost control of their bodies. All they could hear was the sound of their hearts beating faster and faster. Heavens! The fourth protector of the Northern Profound Alliance, a top 7-star god of war, was killed by this person with a slap? In the entire Northern Profound Alliance, only the Alliance Leader, the Vice Alliance Leader, and the mysterious Supreme Guardian had the ability to do so. Does anyone know where the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance is? Xian asked again. His originally calm gaze turned sharp, as though he was about to devour someone. I know. Under Xian's sharp gaze, one of the disciples of the Northern Profound Alliance felt as though he was about to suffocate. Under the immense pressure on his mind and body, he couldn't hold it in any longer and hurriedly spoke. The moment he spoke, the expressions of the 6 protectors and the elders of the Northern Profound Alliance changed. This guy is going to betray the Supreme Protector? Is he courting death? Very well. Xian nodded in satisfaction as soon as the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance finished speaking. Then, he raised his hand and his palm shook a few times in the air. In the next moment, bang, 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 bang. Along with the deafening sound, blood splattered everywhere. Other than the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance who said that he knew where the Supreme Protector was, the rest, including the 6th Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance, were all dead. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance who was lucky enough to survive was completely dumbfounded. When he regained his senses, his legs gave way and he collapsed on the ground, leaving behind a pool of blood. Lead the way. Xian frowned slightly as he looked at the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance in disdain. Yes, my lord. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance was still trembling in fear when he heard Xian's order. He stood up like a frightened bird, afraid that he would follow in the footsteps of the 4th Protector and the 6th Protector if he didn't listen to Xian's order. This person is here to cause trouble for the Supreme Protector. He knows how powerful the Supreme Protector is, but he still came to find the Supreme Protector. Is he a 9-star god of war? The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance who was leading the way was shocked when he thought of this. He believed that at this moment, not just the 2nd North District, but the entire northern part of the 9th Serenity battlefield, or even more than half of the 9th Serenity battlefield, knew how powerful the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was. Under such circumstances, the person who dared to find trouble with the Supreme Protector was either a brainless fool or a fearless person. This person didn't seem to be the former, but the latter. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance led Xian all the way into the Northern Profound Alliance's base. Along the way, there were people who wanted to stop them. However, when they heard the voice transmission from the Northern Profound Alliance's disciple, they stopped in their tracks and watched them leave. Some of them even went to inform the Alliance Leader and Vice Alliance Leader of the Northern Profound Alliance. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance who was leading the way told everyone the same thing. The person behind me just killed the 4th Protector and the 6th Protector. He's here to cause trouble for the Supreme Protector. He's suspected to be a 9-star god of war. After hearing this short sentence, no one dared to step forward. You're kind. You even know how to warn them. Xian sneered as he followed behind the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance. Although the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance had been transmitting his voice, Xian was not blind. Naturally, he could see that many people wanted to step forward. However, after a while, they looked at him suspiciously and didn't dare to step forward. No one would believe that the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance who was leading the way didn't send a warning to those people. My lord. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance smiled bitterly. There's no need to involve small fries like us in a fight between big shots like you. It's not easy for us to reach our current cultivation base. Don't worry. As long as they don't provoke me, I won't touch them. Xian said calmly. As long as the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance isn't the person I'm looking for, I won't make things difficult for him. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance thanked Xian profusely. Although Duan Lingtian was the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance, not many people dared to approach the place where he cultivated. However, there were still many people who knew where he cultivated. In the Northern Profound Alliance, as long as they weren't particularly uninformed, almost everyone knew where Duan Lingtian cultivated. Of course, they didn't know that the supreme protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was Duan Lingtian. They only thought that the supreme protector of the Northern Profound Alliance was Li Feng, one of the strongest 8-star gods of war. My lord, it's right in front. The disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance led me, Xian, to the place where Duan Lingtian cultivated, and pointed at the building in front of them. Scram. Mi Xian glanced at the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, the disciple of the Northern Profound Alliance hurriedly fled. Mi Xian's consciousness swept out in an instant, enveloping the surrounding area. In order to prevent his target from escaping, he didn't even spare the underground. Since Mi Xian had only caused a commotion outside the mountain gate and not within the Northern Profound Alliance's base, Duan Lingtian didn't notice Mi Xian's arrival even though he wasn't concentrating on his cultivation. He only reacted when Mi Xian's divine sense enveloped the area. Who's there? The sudden surge of divine sense gave Duan Lingtian a sense of déjà vu, but he couldn't recall where he had sensed this divine sense before. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed. This was because the other party's divine sense had also enveloped him. It was as though he had nowhere to hide. At the same time, an indifferent voice came from outside. Should I call you Li Feng or Duan Lingtian? When Duan Lingtian heard the voice, he felt that it was even more familiar. After thinking for a while, he recalled someone. Tang Sanpao? When Duan Lingtian walked out of his cultivation place and stepped into the air, he was greeted by a familiar voice. It's him. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian recognized the person hovering in the air. It was none other than Tang Sanpao, the young master of the Tidal Temple, whom he had met during the Battle of Geniuses in the Devata Realms. Chapter 3575. During the Battle of the Geniuses in the Devata Realms, although Tang Sanpao did not intentionally get close to Duan Lingtian, from the moment his identity was exposed, it was destined that he and Duan Lingtian would never cross paths. Since then, Duan Lingtian had never seen Tang Sanpao again. However, from the moment the palace master of the Tidal Temple joined forces with the Dead Spirit clan to possess him, Duan Lingtian knew he was destined to be enemies with the Tidal Temple. As the young master of the Tidal Temple, Tang Sanpao was destined to be his enemy as well. However, Duan Lingtian did not expect Duan Lingtian would be able to see Duan Lingtian. He did not expect to see Tang Sanpao in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Swoosh. Duan Lingtian no longer bothered to conceal his identity since he knew Tang Sanpao had discovered his identity with his divine consciousness. Moreover, based on Duan Lingtian's attitude, it was obvious he did not come with good intentions. Perhaps, as soon as Duan Lingtian recognized him, the other members of the Tidal Temple in the Nine Serenities battlefield must have received a message and learned of Duan Lingtian's whereabouts. Tang Sanpao? Duan Lingtian looked at Tang Sanpao calmly and said indifferently, "Aren't you afraid I'll kill you for coming here alone? It can be said that the Tidal Temple and I will fight to the death." As Duan Lingtian finished speaking, an icy cold light flashed in his eyes, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. Tang Sanpao? Tang Sanpao was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then, he shook his head and said, "Duan Lingtian, I didn't expect you to know the original owner of this body that I've possessed. Tang Sanpao has long been reduced to ashes." Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he heard Tang Sanpao's words. At the same time, a thought flashed in his mind. He recalled the divine consciousness that gave him a sense of familiarity when it probed him earlier. In the next moment, a figure appeared in his mind at the right time. Why, you're Mi Xian? Duan Lingtian recalled Mi Xian, a god king from the Dead Spirit clan. His divine consciousness was similar to the divine consciousness that had probed him earlier. The only difference was that it was not as vast and powerful as the divine consciousness that probed him in the past. Duan Lingtian, naturally, understood this. After all, the Abyss Serenity battlefield forbade the bodies and souls of gods from entering. I didn't expect Tang Sanpao's body to be possessed by Mi Xian. Duan Ling Tian did not expect this at all. You're smart, Mi Xian said indifferently as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. It was as though he was looking at a dead man. Mi Xian, I'm not surprised that you entered the Nine Serenities battlefield using Tang Sanpeio's body. However, your soul shouldn't be strong enough for you to enter the Nine Serenities battlefield, right? Duan Ling Tian was puzzled by this. Naturally, through Mi Xian's divine consciousness that was comparable to a Tin-direction celestial emperor, Duan Ling Tian could not be certain. Humph! Mi Xian snorted coldly. The Dead Spirit Clan is a living being in the form of souls. We're skilled in soul attacks. It's easy for us to seal souls. Mi Xian's words confirmed Duan Ling Tian's suspicion. As expected, Mi Xian had used a secret technique to suppress his soul to the level of a Tin-direction celestial emperor. That was why he was not rejected by the Nine Serenities battlefield. In the history of the Nine Serenities battlefield, there was no lack of such people. However, even if such people entered the Nine Serenities battlefield, they would not be able to break the seal. Once the seal was broken, their souls would be suppressed by the Nine Serenities battlefield and would be reduced to ashes. The Nine Serenities battlefield was formed when the realms of the gods collided. Its power was beyond imagination. Even deities would not be able to withstand its power, let alone ordinary celestials. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound of wind whistling rang in the air as several figures appeared at the edge of the battlefield where Duan Ling Tian and Mi Xian were facing off. They stared at them from afar. The two people in the lead were none other than Luo Yiming and Luo Feng, the deputy leader of the Northern Profound Alliance. When they saw Duan Ling Tian, they were surprised. Although Duan Ling Tian was dressed in a black robe and had a black bamboo hat on his back, he had removed the bamboo hat from his head, revealing his true appearance. Supreme Guardian is so young, Luo Feng exclaimed in surprise. I didn't expect that. Luo Yiming nodded. The others also looked at Duan Ling Tian in shock. Was this the true appearance of the Northern Profound Alliance's Supreme Guardian? This is the person who killed two of our great guardians and came looking for trouble with the Supreme Guardian? Luo Yiming and Luo Feng shifted their gazes from Duan Ling Tian to Mi Xian. They were both furious and fearful. They knew this person was not someone to be trifled with. How could someone who dared to provoke the Supreme Elder of the Northern Profound Alliance be an ordinary person? Duan Ling Tian, I have to admit that your performance in the Nine Serenities battlefield is shocking. Currently, no one among the 9 star gods of war is a match for you in the Nine Serenities battlefield. You must be very proud of this, right? Mi Xian said unhurriedly as he looked at Duan Ling Tian mockingly. Based on his attitude, it was clear he did not intend to make a move on Duan Ling Tian. To him, Duan Ling Tian was already a sitting duck. Duan Ling Tian? However, when the group of people from the Northern Profound Alliance heard how Mi Xian addressed Duan Ling Tian, from the leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Yiming, to the vice leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, Luo Feng, and the ordinary disciples, they were stunned. Wasn't the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance Li Feng? How did he become Duan Ling Tian? What was going on? Duan Ling Tian. Isn't he the one who killed the second alliance leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wu Long in the 9 Eastern region? He's not only the vice alliance leader of the disbanded Brahma Alliance, but he's also the only true disciple of the legendary Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Feng Qingyang. Supreme Guardian is Duan Ling Tian? Could it be that Li Feng is just his alias? It's said that Duan Ling Tian is skilled in the law of space. Our Supreme Guardian is also skilled in the law of space. Everyone from the Northern Profound Alliance was shocked when they learned that their Supreme Guardian, Li Feng, was the same person as the famous Duan Ling Tian in the Nine Serenities battlefield. No wonder the Supreme Guardian is so strong. Many people say he's as strong as Wu Long and Duan Ling Tian. It turns out that he's the Duan Ling Tian. I really didn't expect our Supreme Guardian to be the same person as the Duan Ling Tian. Even Luo Yiming and Luo Feng felt as though they were in a dream as the elders and protectors of the Northern Profound Alliance discussed the matter fervently. Mi Xian, you don't have the strength of a god king here. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you if you show up in front of me? Duan Ling Tian remained calm in the face of Mi Xian's mockery. You should know that you can't break the soul seal in the Nine Serenities battlefield. God King. As soon as Duan Tian finished speaking, most of the people from the Northern Profound Alliance were stunned. They did not know what the two words meant. On the other hand, Luo Yiming and Luo Feng's expressions changed drastically. When they looked at Mi Xian's back again, a hint of fear could be seen in their eyes. This person is a god king? In the Devata realms, even a lesser god was considered an extraordinary figure. Not to mention the godly king powerhouses who were superior to lesser deities, intermediate deities, and higher deities. The person in front of them was a god king? Based on what the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance had said, the Supreme Protector of the Northern Profound Alliance had entered the Netherworld battlefield by sealing himself. Thus, he was unable to display his full strength in the Netherworld battlefield. Once he displayed strength surpassing that of an immortal, he would be suppressed by the Netherworld battlefield. Their clans were also heaven-grade forces. In the ancient records of their clans, it was recorded that a god sealed his cultivation base and soul to enter the Nine Serenities battlefield to kill others. However, he was killed by the Nine Serenities battlefield because he unleashed his strength. Instead of killing his enemy, he was killed by the Nine Serenities battlefield. This incident made them realize that even a god could only unleash strength equivalent to a 9-star god of war in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Even if he can only unleash strength equivalent to a 9-star god of war in the Nine Serenities battlefield, I'm afraid the Supreme Guardian is no match for him, right? Luo Feng muttered to himself as he stood next to Luo Yiming. Since we know this, I'm sure the Supreme Guardian knows this as well. However, based on his expression, it's obvious he's not afraid of Mi Xian. Luo Yiming studied Duan Tian for a moment before he came to this conclusion. At the same time, Mi Xian scoffed when he heard Duan Tian's words. Duan Tian, if I need the strength of a god king to kill someone like you who hasn't even become a 9-star god of war, then I would have lived my life in vain. Even if I can't unleash strength that exceeds my realm in the Nine Serenities battlefield, do you think I would come looking for you alone if I didn't even have the strength of a 9-star god of war? The disdain on Mi Xian's face deepened when he finished speaking. 9-star god of war. Although the people from the Northern Profound Alliance had long suspected that Mi Xian was a 9-star god of war, they were still shocked when they heard it from Mi Xian's mouth. At the same time, their hearts sank. They were deeply surprised that their identity as the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance had been exposed. However, this did not mean that they no longer regarded him as the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance. If not for this Supreme Guardian, the Northern Profound Alliance would have been destroyed long ago when the other two major forces in the Second North District had joined forces to kill their way to the 9-star god of war. Naturally, they did not wish for anything to happen to this Supreme Guardian today. 9-star god of war? Duan Tian narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. That's great. Ever since I became a 9-star god of war, I haven't fought with anyone. This time, I'll use you as a whetstone. Chapter 3576. I just hope you won't be so angry that you'll break the seal on your own. At that time, I won't even have to do anything. The Nine Serenities battlefield will kill you for me. The moment these words left Duan Tian's mouth, everyone was instantly shocked. Even the members of the Northern Profound Alliance were shocked. The Supreme Guardian has become a 9-star god of war? Luo Yiming, the leader of the Northern Profound Alliance, was shocked. If the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was really Duan Tian, it meant he was not even 700 years old yet. A 9-star god of war who was not even 700 years old? What did this mean? This meant he could become a god before he turned 1,000 years old. In the realms of gods, there were many young geniuses who could become gods before they turned 1,000 years old. However, in the Devata realms, no one had ever done it before. Based on what he had heard, the only true disciple of the legendary heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Feng Qingyang, had ascended from the mundane realm to the Devata realms. He had never heard of anyone who had become a 6-star god of war before they turned 1,000 years old, let alone becoming a god. A 9-star god of war? The members of the Northern Profound Alliance looked at Duan Tian with a burning gaze. They had been shocked by the identity of the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance, but now they were only shocked by the fact that the Supreme Guardian was a 9-star war god. The Supreme Guardian has become a 9-star god of war? Heavens! Previously, when the Supreme Guardian killed 4 8-star gods of war, I had a feeling he would soon become a 9-star god of war. I didn't expect this day to come so soon. It's a pity the Supreme Guardian will have to leave the Northern Profound Alliance after today. Now that his identity has been exposed, he won't be able to stay in the Northern Profound Alliance. Moreover, the Northern Profound Alliance might even be disbanded. Disbanded? That can't be, right? Why can't it be? Don't forget that the Heavenly Dao Alliance in the 9 East region was disbanded because he killed Wulong. That's because Wulong died in the Heavenly Dao Alliance's hands. That's why the Brahma Alliance decided to vent their anger on the Northern Profound Alliance. The Northern Profound Alliance didn't know the true identity of the Supreme Protector, so we didn't offend the Brahma Alliance. Do you think a force like the Brahma Alliance will reason with you? The members of the Northern Profound Alliance whispered among themselves as they felt a sense of danger. Some of them even felt that the North Dark Alliance was about to be disbanded. You've already become a 9-star war god? When he heard Duan Lingtian say that he had already become a 9-star war god, even Mi Xian's expression turned grave. Although he tried to ease it, Duan Lingtian saw it clearly. Duan Lingtian, even if you've become a 9-star war god, you're still too naive if you want to use me, Mi Xian, as a stepping stone. Mi Xian sneered and said disdainfully, even if I can't use the profundities I've comprehended with this body, it's still easy for me to deal with you. As soon as Mi Xian finished speaking, he made his move. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The void trembled as cracks appeared in the void. 9-dimensional profundities shot toward Duan Lingtian like shadows. Mi Xian had comprehended the law of space, one of the 4 supreme laws. In the past, he could only rely on his soul energy to activate the law of space. Now, he could activate the law of space with his demigod cultivation base. A demigod and a 9-star war god had the celestial origin energy of divine energy. When he activated the law of space, it felt as though the void would shatter. Buzz, 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 buzz. 9-dimensional profundities shot toward Duan Lingtian at the same time. This 9-star war god is also skilled in the law of space? Many people from the Northern Profound Alliance were shocked by the scene before them. They knew that the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was proficient in the law of space. However, they didn't expect that the opponent of the Supreme Guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance was also proficient in the law of space. Moreover, his opponent was a 9-star war god. Retreat. When the 9-dimensional profundities shot out, a violent energy swept out and slammed into the void, causing it to tremble. Terrifying energy shot out in all directions, injuring some of the Northern Profound Alliance's disciples who were closer to them. Everyone from the Northern Profound Alliance panicked. Only the Alliance leader, Luo Yiming, and the Vice Alliance leader, Luo Feng, did not retreat. The law of space? Duan Lingtian smiled faintly in the face of Mi Xian's attack. Just as well. Let me see how strong the law of space is with my celestial origin energy that has the divine energy. As soon as he finished laughing, 9 spatial tears appeared above Duan Lingtian's head. Then, 9-dimensional profundities shot out. 9-dimensional profundities against another 9-dimensional profundities. In the first clash, both of them did not use their fused profundities. It was just a duel of profundities. When the two collided in the void, it did not cause much of a commotion. Instead, it was as though their powers had canceled each other out. This was one of the special characteristics of the law of space. When 2 equally matched spatial powers fought in the void, everything would return to deathly stillness. Tang Sanpeio's body has also cultivated to the level of a 10-direction celestial emperor. After the first clash, Duan Lingtian realized that Tang Sanpeio's body was a genuine 10-direction celestial emperor. Moreover, Mi Xian's celestial origin energy had also given birth to the characteristics of the divine energy, so it did not belong to him. Duan Lingtian, let's see how strong you are now. Mi Xian sneered after the first wave of attacks was destroyed. Then, in a flash, he appeared next to Duan Lingtian and struck with his palm. Boom. Rumble. Terrifying spatial storm wreaked havoc where Duan Lingtian was standing, causing the void to tremble as though it would crack open at any moment. Duan Lingtian's figure was completely shredded into pieces. To be more precise, it was an afterimage that was destroyed. Duan Lingtian had already teleported to the sky as soon as Mi Xian had used the teleportation profundity. As soon as Mi Xian struck with his palm, tens of thousands of sword rays condensed from space energy shot out. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Rain of swords fell from the sky. The sword Dao formed from space energy flashed and disappeared in the void, reappearing above Mi Xian's head in the blink of an eye. Duan Lingtian had not only used space energy, but he had also used the space sword Dao. This time, it was clearly too late for Mi Xian to teleport. Space sword Dao? It's indeed extraordinary. Mi Xian's voice rang in the air. It seemed as though he was not surprised by Duan Lingtian's technique at all. In just a blink of an eye, he raised both of his hands above his head as violent space energy surged out of his palms. Several intents of the rules of space merged with one another and formed a barrier above him. It shrouded the sky and the sun, as if it were able to isolate the heavens and earth. Boom, 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 boom. Thousands of spatial sword lights fell like a rain of swords, landing on the violent spatial force surging from Mi Xian's hands and colliding with it, producing deafening booms. The sword rays continued to fall as if there was no end to them. The space energy above Mi Xian's head gradually diminished after a while. It was clearly unable to withstand Duan Lingtian's attack. Damn it! Mi Xian's expression was slightly ugly. If not for the fact that this body has yet to completely merge with my soul and can't fully display my comprehension of the law of space, Duan Lingtian wouldn't be a match for me even if he used the space sword Dao. Right now, the power of the law of space I can display is only half of the power of the law of space my soul has comprehended. It's on par with Duan Lingtian's comprehension of the law of space. He's using the space sword Dao to completely suppress me in terms of profundities. If I want to defeat him now, I can only rely on soul attacks. With a thought, a 7-foot-long spear suddenly appeared in Mi Xian's hands. With a shake of the spear, the thousands of sword rays blocking Duan Lingtian's attack were no longer so easily defeated by the space energy surging from his hands. The spear in Mi Xian's hands was pitch black and surrounded by strands of blood-red light. It gave off an evil feeling. Now that it was in Mi Xian's hands, it seemed to strengthen the power he displayed. He completely blocked Duan Lingtian's attack and was no longer as passive as before. A divine weapon? When Duan Lingtian saw the 7-foot-long spear in Mi Xian's hand, he recognized it as a divine weapon with just a glance. He wasn't surprised that Mi Xian had a spirit weapon. Do you think you're the only one with a divine weapon? A mocking smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's lips, and then with a thought, a sword flashing with rainbow light appeared around him. It was none other than the high-quality divine weapon in his hands, the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. The moment the 7 Orifices exquisite sword appeared, the sword rain in the sky became even more powerful. Mi Xian's momentary advantage not only vanished, but he was also being routed even faster. Mi Xian's expression didn't change, as if he had expected all of this. The moment the sword rays intensified, Mi Xian teleported away with his spear, completely avoiding the sword rain. He appeared in the air not far from Duan Lingtian and coldly stared at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, it's time to end this. Mi Xian no longer had any thoughts of leaving Duan Lingtian alive. He was prepared to use the soul attack he was most skilled at, destroying Duan Lingtian's soul in one blow and killing Duan Lingtian. The current situation did not permit him to capture Duan Lingtian alive. Duan Lingtian's strength had exceeded his expectations. If he had known that Duan Lingtian was this strong, no matter how conceited he was, he wouldn't have come alone. Before coming, he had believed that Duan Lingtian was only a peak 8-star war god. Chapter 3577. Mi Xian was not surprised that Duan Lingtian had a Devata artifact. Based on Wu Hongqing's analysis, Duan Lingtian's master, Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, must have obtained a fortuitous encounter in the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms, to become a god and a lesser god king in just a few hundred years. There was no doubt the fortuitous encounter contained a Devata artifact. After all, the fortuitous encounter had to have been left behind by a god king. Naturally, such a powerhouse would have left behind more than one Devata artifact. It was not surprising that Feng Qingyang had given one to his only true disciple, Duan Lingtian. For this reason, Mi Xian was not surprised that Duan Lingtian had taken out a Devata artifact to suppress his defenses. However, he did not continue to defend himself. After all, he knew he would be the unlucky one if he continued to defend himself. Duan Lingtian's strength with the help of the Devata artifact had far surpassed his strength with the help of the Devata artifact. In fact, they were not even on the same level. There was no point in continuing to defend himself. For this reason, Mi Xian decided to use the soul attack he was best at to kill Duan Lingtian in one fell swoop. The only difference was that he would not be able to use his divine weapon to cast his soul attack. However, in his opinion, even if he could not use his divine weapon to cast his soul attack, he would still be able to easily kill Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, I'll kill you today. In the future, I'll make sure your master, Feng Qingyang, is buried with you. Mi Xian said indifferently. At the same time, a ray of flowing light suddenly shot out from between his eyebrows. It was a golden ray of light that was surrounded by a grayish energy, causing the space to shake wherever it passed. You've lived a good life since you're able to die under my soul attack. Although Mi Xian's soul was only at the level of a 10-direction celestial emperor, with his comprehension of the law of space, there were only a handful of demigods in heaven and earth who could withstand his attack even without the help of a divine artifact. As for those people, without exception, they were all people who had external forces to rely on. It was either a soul attack divine artifact or a soul defense divine artifact. Whoosh! The soul attack wrapped in spatial energy flew towards Duan Lingtian as the rain of swords continued to chase after Mi Xian. Right now, Mi Xian wasn't even in the mood to defend against Duan Lingtian's sword rain. In his opinion, as long as he killed Duan Lingtian, the rain of swords would naturally disappear. Die! Right now, Mi Xian was looking at Duan Lingtian like he was looking at a dead man. In all the Devata realms and the 9 Serenities battlefield, Duan Lingtian did not think there was anyone who was not a god who could withstand his soul attack. He was certain Duan Lingtian would die. Soul attack? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow when he saw Mi Xian's soul attack. However, there was no hint of panic on his face. Instead, a faint smile appeared on his face. I've been waiting for a long time. A faint smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face. In the next moment, a 7-colored light suddenly shone in his eyes. At the same time, the 7-colored light swords that had been revolving around him instantly merged into his body and reappeared. This time, they appeared within the 7-colored light swords that had been shot out from his eyes. Swoosh! Duan Lingtian's 7-colored soul attack that had merged with the law of space, and the space sword Dao shot toward Mi Xian's soul attack that was not far away. From afar, it looked like 2 comets colliding in the starry sky. Finally, the 2 attacks collided. In the next moment, there was no earth-shattering explosion. After all, it was only a soul attack, and there was still a big difference between it and a material attack. The 2 attacks converged, and after a moment of entanglement, a sword with 7-colored flowing light appeared, and the 2 soul forces disappeared without a trace. They exhausted each other. A high-grade divine artifact? Before the members of the Northern Profound Alliance could react, Mi Xian's voice rang out. His eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with shock and disbelief. Just now, Duan Lingtian had used this sword to suppress him with a physical attack. Then, he used this sword to unleash a soul attack that was evenly matched with his. Only a high-grade divine artifact or above could unleash a physical attack and a soul attack at the same time. In other words, Duan Lingtian's sword was a high-grade divine artifact. After the initial shock, greed appeared in Mi Xian's eyes. If he could obtain such a high-grade divine artifact, his strength would rise by more than a level. In the next moment, Mi Xian seemed to think of something, and his expression changed. No. Pucci, Pucci, Pucci. After Mi Xian's soul attack failed, the rain of swords landed on his defenseless body. In the blink of an eye, Mi Xian's body was riddled with holes. Whoosh! As his body was riddled with holes, a soul leaped out. It was Mi Xian's soul. Mi Xian's soul trembled violently in the void. Duan Lingtian, from now on, we will fight to the death. Mi Xian's tone was filled with extreme anger and unwillingness. He had spent a lot of effort to merge with Tang Sanpeio's body. He had even used the dead spirit race's ability to completely possess a physical body. Although he could possess another person's body in the future, he would not be able to accept everything about that person. He could only possess the other person's body. Fight to the death? You'll have to live until then. Duan Lingtian sneered and said, Huang destroy him. Swoosh. Almost at the instant Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, a beautiful figure suddenly appeared outside the seven-colored light sword that was suspended in the air. The beautiful figure was a young woman who wore clothes that were intertwined with seven-colored lights, and she was especially eye-catching. The moment she appeared, the Northern Xian Alliance members' attention was drawn to her. Artifact Soul? Mi Xian's soul trembled when he saw the scene before him. It was clear that he was far more agitated than before. It was a prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul. Even in the realms of gods, a divine artifact of this grade would be considered a top-tier treasure. Yes, master. The woman Duan Lingtian summoned was the Seven Orifices exquisite sword soul, Huang After replying to Duan Lingtian's order, Huang charged toward Mi Xian's soul with her sword in hand. A dazzling seven-colored sword ray streaked across the sky in an unstoppable manner. It was as though it could destroy and annihilate everything. Under the watchful eyes of the Northern Xian Alliance members, Mi Xian's soul trembled as though it would be destroyed in the next instant. Duan Lingtian, you don't have the strength to kill me. At this critical moment, Mi Xian's soul clasped his hands together. Instantly, his body emitted waves of mist and dark green flames that burned on his body. In the next instant, as the dark green flames burned and the mist covered the surrounding area, there was a flash of blood and Mi Xian's soul completely disappeared. Swoosh! At this moment, Huang sword missed Mi Xian. As expected of the former patriarch of the Dead Spirit clan, an intermediate god king, Mi Xian managed to escape from me even though he sealed his soul at the level of a 10 Directions celestial emperor. When Mi Xian's soul disappeared without a trace, Duan Lingtian knew he would not be able to kill Mi Xian today. Although Duan Lingtian had acted decisively, he was not confident he could kill Mi Xian. After all, Mi Xian was a god king. Even if Mi Xian's soul was sealed, it would not be easy to kill him. Although I don't know if you willingly allowed yourself to be possessed by Mi Xian, at least I've avenged you. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he looked at Mi Xian's battered body. To be more precise, it was Tang Sanpeio's body. Naturally, he was speaking to Tang Sanpao inwardly. Meanwhile, the members of the Northern Xian Alliance looked at Duan Lingtian with burning eyes. A 9-star god of war. A 9-star god of war who had a high-grade divine artifact and a divine artifact that had given birth to an artifact soul. A 9-star god of war who had nearly killed another 9-star god of war and caused his soul to escape from his body. How could such a person be the supreme guardian of the Northern Xian Alliance? Alliance leader Luo. After Mi Xian escaped, Duan Lingtian put away the Seven Orifices exquisite sword and looked at Luo Yiming, the leader of the Northern Xian Alliance. Thank you for taking care of me during this time. Now, it's time for me to leave. There's no need for the Northern Xian Alliance to disband like the Heavenly Dao Alliance. After all, you didn't know my identity in the past. Moreover, the Brahma Alliance won't have a chance to vent their anger on you. After saying this, Duan Lingtian turned around and left without waiting for Luo Yiming's reply. He teleported and disappeared from the sight of the North Dark Alliance's members. He left. Luo Yiming, the leader of the Northern Xian Alliance, was not surprised by Duan Lingtian's sudden departure. However, the others couldn't help but feel disappointed. I thought the Supreme Guardian would lead the Northern Xian Alliance to the Central region. I didn't expect him to leave. You're too naive. So what if the Supreme Guardian helps the Northern Shin Alliance to secure a place in the Central region? It's easy to secure a place, but it's difficult to protect it. With the Supreme Guardian's talent, it won't take long for him to become a true god. At that time, he'll have no choice but to leave the Nine Serenities battlefield. At that time, the powers that didn't make a move on the Northern Shin Alliance because they were afraid of the Supreme Guardian will continue to watch the Northern Shin Alliance grow. Judging from the Supreme Guardian's words, he's not going to cause trouble for the Brahma Alliance, right? That's possible. Ever since the death of the second leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wulong, the Brahma Alliance has been chasing the Supreme Guardian all over the Nine Serenities battlefield. Even if the Supreme Guardian shows himself now, the Brahma Alliance won't be able to do anything to him. Chapter 3578. Previously, when Wulong, the second guardian of the Brahma Alliance, came to challenge him, Duan Ling Tian did not think the Brahma Alliance was involved. After all, it was a personal challenge. In fact, even when Wulong had challenged him, he hadn't thought of killing him. It was only when Wulong tried to kill him that he decided to kill Wulong. He knew that killing Wulong would offend the Brahma Alliance and the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Ji Heavenly Palace. However, he still did it to clear his mind. If he showed mercy to Wulong because he was afraid of the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heavenly Clan, no matter how hard he tried to comfort himself, it would leave a trace of resentment in his heart. And just this trace of indignation was enough to make it difficult for him to continue on the path of cultivation. If I hadn't killed Wulong back then, I wouldn't have been able to enter the demigod realm. Even now, Duan Lingtian didn't regret killing Wulong. If he hadn't killed Wulong, his path of cultivation wouldn't have been so smooth. He wouldn't have been able to break through to the demigod realm and become a 9-star war god. The Brahma Alliance. While he was in seclusion, he wasn't completely dead. Occasionally, he would come out of seclusion, and it wasn't hard for him to overhear some members of the North Profound Alliance talking about how the Brahma Alliance was searching for him. The Brahma Alliance had even set up a bounty for him. Anyone who could provide him with clues would be rewarded handsomely. Those who killed him could bring his corpse to the Brahma Alliance and claim the bounty as well. I'll deliver the bounty myself. I hope the Brahma Alliance won't disappoint me. After leaving the Northern Profound Alliance, Duan Lingtian headed south. He was originally in the north, and the central region was to the south. After crossing the central region, he would reach the south. However, his current target wasn't the south, but the central region. To be more precise, the Brahma Alliance was his target. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Duan Lingtian flickered as he teleported. Every time he teleported, he would cross a great distance and arrive at the central region of the Nine Serenities battlefield. Sir, do you know where the Brahma Alliance is? After entering the central district, Duan Lingtian teleported and appeared in front of a middle-aged man. He asked with a smile on his face. However, the middle-aged man was a little annoyed that Duan Lingtian had blocked his way. I don't know. Thank you. Duan Lingtian didn't ask the middle-aged man any more questions. With a teleport, he disappeared from the middle-aged man's sight and reaction range. The middle-aged man was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. He's so strong? Even if it was the space law's teleportation profundity, only those who were far stronger than him could come and go without a trace. It was precisely because of this that he realized how terrifying Chen Shi was at this moment, and he felt a wave of lingering fear and relief in his heart. At this time, Duan Lingtian asked a few more people for directions, but without exception, he was rejected. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally realized how rash he was to block their path. Therefore, after finding his next target, he didn't stop him. Instead, he flew side by side with him. Sir, do you know where the Brahma Alliance's base is? Now, Duan Lingtian's target was also a young man. The young man had a medium build and an ordinary face, but his eyes were extremely sharp and his chiseled face showed some determination. The moment Duan Lingtian spoke, his expression changed with a whoosh. In his opinion, since this purple-clothed young man was able to approach him so silently, it would be extremely easy for him to kill him. Don't be nervous. Duan Lingtian shook his head as he looked at the young man who hurriedly distanced himself from him. If I wanted to harm you, do you think you'd still be alive? Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the young man's expression eased. The Brahma Alliance's base is in the Chinibu district. Chinibu district? Duan Lingtian was startled. Then which district are we in right now? Chinibu district. The young man looked at Duan Lingtian in puzzlement. This purple-clad young man with frightening strength didn't know which district he was in right now. How do I get to the Chinibu district? Duan Lingtian asked the young man again. Hearing this, the young man pointed to the southeast. If you go in this direction and cross the Chinibu district, you'll reach the Chinibu district. The Brahma Alliance is the strongest force in the Chinibu district. When you get there, you can ask anyone to find the Brahma Alliance's base. But why are you going to the Brahma Alliance's base? Recently, the Brahma Alliance has no plans to recruit new people. After saying this, the young man kindly reminded Duan Lingtian. Since the second leader of the Brahma Alliance, Wulong, was killed, the Brahma Alliance canceled their original recruitment plan and has been postponing it. Even now, they haven't said when they will recruit new people. I don't plan to join the Brahma Alliance. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. Then, his eyes subconsciously narrowed into slits. I asked for the location of the Brahma Alliance's base because I want to find trouble with them. Thanks. In the end, before the young man could react, Duan Lingtian had already disappeared in front of his eyes. It was only now that the young man came back to his senses. Find trouble with the Brahma Alliance? Him? Are you kidding me? But looking at him, he seems a little familiar. Thinking back to the purple-clad young man's appearance, the young man only felt that he was familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him. It wasn't until a dozen breaths later that the young man racked his brain and remembered why he felt that he was familiar. He looks exactly the same as the Duan Lingtian that the Brahma Alliance is looking for. It's just that the real person is more charming than the portrait. At this moment, the young man finally remembered. The reason he felt that the purple-clad young man was familiar was because he had seen his portrait. He said he's going to find trouble with the Brahma Alliance? Does he have the confidence to deal with the Brahma Alliance? Isn't he just an 8-star god of war? No matter how powerful and heaven-defying an 8-star god of war is, it's impossible for him to contend with the #1 leader of the Brahma Alliance, Ji Ying. Ji Ying is a famous 9-star god of war in the 9 Serenities battlefield. His strength is incomparable. Could it be that he has become a 9-star god of war during this period of time? The more the young man thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. Otherwise, why would Duan Lingtian hide in the beginning and appear directly to find trouble with the Brahma Alliance? Let's go and join in the fun. After guessing the identity of the other party, the young man didn't hesitate and immediately walked in the direction that Duan Lingtian had left in. Of course, he didn't know which direction Duan Lingtian had left in. However, he knew that Duan Lingtian had definitely gone in the direction he had pointed out. If I can personally witness the battle between Duan Lingtian and the leader of the Brahma Alliance, Ji Ying, I can say that my life has not been in vain. As the young man sped along, his eyes became brighter and brighter. The Brahma Alliance's base was located in the Chinibu district. As the strongest force in the Chinibu district, the Brahma Alliance's base was located in the center of the Chinibu district. It was surrounded by many cities. In the Brahma Alliance's base, both Ji Ying and Yu Chaochuan, the 9-star god of war from the Tidal Temple, were waiting for Mi Xian's return. They were curious. Was the Northern Profound Alliance's supreme guardian Li Feng in the 2nd North District Duan Lingtian? However, they waited patiently. Before Mi Xian could return, an unexpected guest appeared. Ji Ying. A calm but penetrating voice resounded in the Brahma Alliance's base. Didn't the Brahma Alliance say that you're looking for me, Duan Lingtian? Now that I, Duan Lingtian, am here, aren't you going to show your gratitude? Duan Lingtian stood outside the Brahma Alliance's base with his hands clasped behind his back as he spoke calmly. Although his voice was not loud, it was extremely penetrating. In just a blink of an eye, everyone in the Brahma Alliance's base heard it. The elders and disciples of the Brahma Alliance standing in front of the Brahma Alliance's base frowned. They wanted to ask the person in front of them about his identity and why he was approaching the Brahma alliance. However, before they could open their mouths, the other party's next words shocked them. He's Duan Ling Tian? Heavens! He's Duan Ling Tian, the only true disciple of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Feng Qingyang? The Duan Ling Tian who killed the former leader of the Brahma alliance, Wulong alliance? He actually came to the Brahma alliance? Moreover, he even asked the Lord Alliance Master to come out? Is he tired of living? Hasn't he been hiding all this time? Why did he come out now? The elders and disciples of the Brahma alliance were shocked by Duan Lingtian's words. If this person was really Duan Lingtian, there was only one possibility. Duan Lingtian was no longer afraid of the Brahma alliance. He was no longer afraid of the Brahma alliance's leader. Has he become a 9-star war god? The elders and disciples of the Brahma alliance weren't the only ones who had such thoughts. Even the people in the Brahma alliance's base were thinking the same thing. As long as this person wasn't an imposter, it meant that he had become a 9-star war god. Duan Lingtian? Even Yu Chaochuan, the 9-star war god from the Tidal Temple, had a solemn expression on his face. It seems like the supreme guardian of the Northern Profound Alliance in the 2nd North District isn't Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian has personally come to the Brahma Alliance's base, and it seems like he's already a 9-star war god. Yu Chaochuan naturally didn't think that Mi Xian would be defeated by the current Duan Lingtian. He thought that Mi Xian was still investigating the identity of the Northern Profound Alliance's supreme guardian, which was why he hadn't returned yet. But now, the Duan Lingtian they had been searching for all this time had delivered himself to their doorstep. Now, that Jiying should be coming towards me, right? Almost as soon as Yu Chaochuan thought this, Jiying's voice came from outside. Our goal is Duan Lingtian. Since he's here, why don't we go and meet him together? Yu Chaochuan sneered inwardly. Jiying was usually so arrogant. Wasn't he looking for him because he wasn't confident that he could defeat the Duan Lingtian? Chapter 3579. Almost no one in the Brahma Alliance thought Duan Lingtian was here to seek his death. What a joke. If he was not strong enough, why would Duan Lingtian come to them? Duan Lingtian hovered in the air with his hands clasped on his back. His expression was calm and emotionless. As time passed, more and more figures walked out of the Brahma Alliance's encampment. There were also people approaching from other directions. They stood at a distance and stared at the purple figure from afar. He's Duan Lingtian? It's one thing for him to look young, but is he really not even 700 years old? This news has been verified by many sources. Do you think it's fake? Duan Lingtian was no stranger to the onlookers. He was the only true disciple of Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. He was the young genius who had recently won the Devata Realm's Battle of Geniuses and displayed his strength as a 7-star god of war. Not long ago, he had killed the strongest person below the 9-star god of war in the 9 Serenities battlefield, Wu Long, who was also the 2nd leader of the Brahma Alliance. After that, he replaced Wu Long and became the strongest person below the 9-star god of war in the 9 Serenities battlefield. Since then, the Brahma Heaven Alliance had gone to great lengths to search for Duan Lingtian in the 9 Serenities battlefield. However, their efforts were to no avail. Today, Duan Lingtian had taken the initiative to look for Duan Lingtian with a calm expression on his face. It seems like this disciple of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven has broken through and become a 9-star god of war. At this moment, most of the onlookers had rushed over after receiving news of Duan Lingtian's arrival. Most of the onlookers were familiar with the people from the Brahma Alliance. After receiving news of Duan Lingtian's arrival, they had also sent messages to their friends. Therefore, more and more people gathered to watch the show. It seems like Duan Lingtian didn't come with good intentions. I wonder who's stronger between him and the alliance leader of the Brahma Alliance, Jiying? The number of onlookers is still increasing. I wonder if the other 9-star gods of war from the central region will come to watch the show as well. I think so. However, that's only if they make it here in time. A group of people stood in the distance, watching Duan Lingtian while whispering to each other. The number of onlookers was still increasing. It's the 2nd guardian of the Heavenly Chu Alliance, Qin. He actually came as well. As an old man in a gray robe approached, many people's attention fell on him. The Heavenly Chu Alliance was also a famous force in the central region. Its strength wasn't any weaker than the Brahma Alliance. If one were to say that the Brahma Alliance was the biggest power in the Middle 2 district, then the Brahma Alliance was the biggest power in the Middle 2 district. In that case, the Heavenly Chu Alliance would be the strongest in the 3 middle districts. The leader of the Heavenly Beginning Alliance was also a 9-star god of war. As for the second protector of the Heavenly Beginning Alliance, Qin was an 8-star war god. Moreover, he had been famous in the central region for a long time. Thus, when he arrived, many people recognized him and took the initiative to greet him. Guardian Qin, are you here to join in the fun as well? Guardian Qin, there will definitely be a battle today. Do you think the leader of the Brahma Alliance, Ji or this Duan Lingtian will win? Many people who had met Qin before or knew him took the initiative to greet him. Every one of them was very enthusiastic. Some people couldn't help but ask Qin what he thought of today's matter. It's hard to say. Let's just watch. Qin smiled faintly. After Qin, a few other famous 8-star war gods in the central region also arrived. They also attracted a lot of attention. Of course, those who could make it in time were those who were nearby and had received the news. There were still many people who were on their way because they were far away. As for those who were further away, they chose to give up and come personally. However, all of them were waiting for the news. Many people were curious about the outcome of today's battle. On one side was the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Duan Lingtian. On the other side was the first true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Ji. Since Duan Lingtian dares to come, it means that he's confident. As long as Ji accepts the challenge, he'll most likely lose. Many people thought so. He's still not coming out? As more and more people gathered around, they realized that the alliance leader, Ji, hadn't come out even though a lot of people from the Brahma Alliance had come out. Is alliance leader Ji afraid? If he doesn't come out today, not only will he and the Brahma Heaven Alliance be disgraced, but his master, the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, will also be disgraced. Who knows what's going on? Many people could not help but whisper among themselves when they saw that the alliance master of the Brahma Heaven Alliance, Ji, had yet to show himself. Of course, their voices were very soft since there were many people from the Brahma Heaven Alliance present. It seems like I'm not too late. Suddenly, a loud voice rang from the horizon, attracting everyone's attention except for Duan Lingtian. Under everyone's gaze, a sturdy old man wearing a loose green robe descended from the clouds. His expression was determined, and there was a blood-red diamond-shaped mark between his brows. He was holding a sheathed saber in his left hand. The old man's messy white hair fluttered in the wind, making him look wild and unruly. Could he be Swordsman Chu? As soon as the old man appeared, some people's eyes flickered, and they frowned slightly. Some people who reacted quickly could not help but exclaim softly, Swordsman Chu? Immediately, the gazes that fell on the old man changed again. Swordsman Chu did not belong to any faction. No one knew if he had any background outside the Nine Serenities battlefield. However, he was a lone cultivator in the Nine Serenities battlefield. The reason Swordsman Chu was famous in the central region was because he was a 9-star god of war. Greetings, Senior Swordsman Chu. While many people were still guessing the old man's identity, the second guardian of the Heavenly Beginning Alliance, Qin, stepped forward and took the initiative to greet the old man. Greetings, Senior Swordsman Chu. The 8-star gods of war followed Qin's lead and bowed respectfully to the old man. In an instant, the old man's identity was confirmed. He was the 9-star god of war, Swordsman Chu. In the Nine Serenities battlefield, only Swordsman Chu could make a group of 8-star gods of war bow down to him. Swordsman Chu nodded indifferently in the face of everyone's greetings. You don't have to worry about me. I'm only here because I happen to be nearby. I heard that there's a show here, so I came to join in the fun. As Swordsman Chu spoke, his gaze fell on the purple figure not far away. This is the only true disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Duan Lingtian. That's him, Senior Swordsman Chu. Qin Zhenyi replied respectfully. He looks talented. Swordsman Chu nodded. I just don't know if he's reckless or if he's really strong. Alliance Master Jiying has come out. The gazes that had gathered on Bladesman Chu immediately shifted to the entrance of the Brahma Alliance's encampment as a cry of surprise rang out. At that place, 2 people were walking through the air while being escorted by over 10 people. It's Alliance Master Jiying. He's finally come out. Everyone's gaze fell on one of the 2 people in the lead. They recognized this person as the Alliance Master of the Brahma Heaven Alliance, Jiying. Who's that beside Alliance Master Jiying? Is he an expert the Brahma Heaven Alliance recently recruited? When the crowd recognized Jiying, they instinctively shifted their gazes to the person beside Jiying. The fact that this person was walking side by side with Jiying was enough to prove that he was not a simple person. In the past, only Jiying's junior brother, Wu Long, who was the second Alliance Master of the Brahma Heaven Alliance, received such treatment. Many people were curious about the identity of the person beside Jiying. Someone exclaimed in shock, "Heavens! Am I seeing things? Isn't the person beside Alliance Master Jiying the Hall Master of the 10,000 Beast Heaven Subhall, Yu Chaochuan? Hasn't he not entered the 9 Serenities battlefield for a long time? Why is he here again?" What? Are you saying that the person beside Alliance Master Jiying is the Hall Master of the 10,000 Beast Heaven Subhall, Yu Chaochuan? Yu Chaochuan? He's a veteran 9-star god of war. Why is he with Alliance Master Jiying? Don't tell me Jiying asked him to help her deal with Duan Lingtian? I'm afraid Jiying doesn't have that much influence. In my opinion, the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven must have asked the Tidal Temple for help. That's why the Tidal Temple sent Hall Master Yu Chaochuan here. If he's really here to help Jiying deal with Duan Lingtian, not only did Duan Lingtian fail, but he's also in danger. When they found out the person standing next to the leader of the Brahma Alliance was Yu Chaochuan, the 9-star god of war and the palace master of the Tidal Temple's 10,000 Beast Heavens Vice Palace, many people looked at Duan Lingtian with a hint of pity in their eyes. The Hall Master of the 10,000 Beast Heavens Subhall? Duan Lingtian, who had been waiting for a long time, turned to look at Yu Chaochuan when he heard the discussions in the surroundings. A sneer appeared on his face as he thought to himself, the Tidal Temple is not slow at all. Not only is Mi Xian here, but a 9-star god of war is here as well. Let's see who's stronger between him and Mi Xian. Duan Lingtian's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. With just a thought, he disappeared from where he was standing. When he reappeared, he had already teleported to the entrance of the Brahma Heaven Alliance's estate. He stood in front of Jiying and Yu Chaochuan. You're Duan Lingtian? Although Jiying had seen Duan Lingtian's portrait before, this was his first time seeing Duan Lingtian in person. At the same time, an ominous premonition rose in his heart when he saw the calmness in Duan Lingtian's eyes. In the end, he clenched his teeth and sent a voice transmission to Swordsman Chu, who was standing nearby. Senior Swordsman Chu, I would like you to join forces with me and Palace, Master Yu to deal with Duan Lingtian. After this, I'll ask my foster father to personally return the favor. Jiying would never do anything that he was not confident in. Although he felt Duan Lingtian might be bluffing for him to be so calm at this moment, he still found a helper and made a promise that Duan Lingtian could not refuse. Bladesman Chu's eyes lit up when he heard Jiying's voice transmission. A greedy expression appeared on his face. Chapter 3580. Swordsman Chu was a 9-star god of war who had made a name for himself in the 9 Serenities battlefield a long time ago. Similar to Yu Chaochuan, the palace master of the 10,000 Beasts Heaven sub-palace of the Tidal Temple, he was also a veteran 9-star god of war in the 9 Serenities battlefield. Whether it was Yu Chaochuan or Swordsman Chu, as long as they disappeared from the 9 Serenities battlefield, people would start to speculate. Could it be that they had already attained godhood? Generally speaking, those who had attained godhood were not allowed to appear in the 9 Serenities battlefield. However, in recent years, Swordsman Chu rarely went missing. He was quite active in the 9 Serenities battlefield, so many people knew about him. As for Yu Chaochuan, he had not appeared in the 9 Serenities battlefield for many years. Many people thought he had already attained godhood. Who knew he would appear in the Nine Serenities battlefield again? I thought Yu Chaochuan had already attained godhood and left the Nine Serenities battlefield forever. I didn't expect he still hasn't attained godhood. How old is he? If he hasn't attained godhood, it seems like he has no hope of attaining godhood. Even if he has no hope of attaining godhood, as the Nine Serenities war god, he's still strong enough to stand at the top of the Devata realms. Yu Chaochuan's appearance caused quite a commotion when he was recognized. When the crowd saw Duan Lingtian standing opposite Yu Chaochuan and Jiying, the atmosphere turned solemn. Among the three people standing before them, two of them had made a name for themselves in the Nine Serenities battlefield, Yu Chaochuan and Jiying. The other person had not been in the Nine Serenities war for long, but no one could ignore his presence. Duan Lingtian. Do you think Yu Chaochuan will make a move today? Many people's eyes flashed with uncertainty. That depends on why Yu Chaochuan is here. If he's here by coincidence, he might not help Jiying. After all, if he helps Jiying deal with Duan Lingtian, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven won't let him go. If he's here to help Jiying deal with Duan Lingtian, he'll definitely make a move. However, based on Duan Lingtian's appearance, it seems like he's not afraid of them at all. Perhaps he is deliberately mystifying. Or perhaps he doesn't know how terrifying Yu Chaochuan, this veteran 9-star war god, is. Right now, the group of onlookers were all very curious as to why Yu Chaochuan would appear here. At that moment, the Tidal Temple's 10,000 Beasts Heaven's Vice Hall Master, Yu Chaochuan, was frowning slightly. He seemed to have encountered some sort of problem. Yu Chaochuan had sent a message to Mi Xian the moment the Alliance Chief of Brahma Alliance, Jiying, had gone to find him and told him that Duan Lingtian had come to visit him. However, Mi Xian hadn't responded. Lord Mi Xian, Yu Chaochuan couldn't help but send a second message. If you receive my message, please reply me. Duan Lingtian has already come to visit. He is in Brahma Alliance. You can come back directly. However, Yu Chaochuan still did not receive Mi Xian's message. Although Yu Chaochuan felt this to be a bit strange, he was not surprised. With Mi Xian's personality, he might not even bother to reply to his message. He might be on his way back. Even in his wildest dreams, he would never have thought that it wasn't that Mi Xian didn't want to reply to him, but that he couldn't. Mi Xian's body had been destroyed, and he had only managed to escape with his soul using a secret technique. He was currently recuperating his soul in a secluded area of the Nine Serenities battlefield. Although he had received Yu Chaochuan's message, he couldn't reply. This was because Yu Chaochuan's soul orb was still in the spatial ring of his original body. They're finished. Mi Xian had fought Duan Lingtian before, so he knew Duan Lingtian's current strength very well. After learning that Duan Lingtian had joined the Brahma Alliance, he knew it was impossible for Yu Chaochuan or Jiying to be a match for Duan Lingtian even if they joined forces. In fact, with Duan Lingtian's current strength and the power of the high-grade divine sword with a sword soul, it would be difficult to find anyone below the divine spirit realm who could match him. Naturally, Yu Chaochuan was unaware of this. At this moment, Yu Chaochuan's attention was focused on Duan Lingtian, who was hovering in the air nearby. This was not his first time seeing Duan Lingtian. He had seen Duan Lingtian during the Devata realm battle of the geniuses. However, he did not expect Duan Lingtian, whom he regarded as a junior at that time, would be strong enough to fight him now. Earlier, Duan Lingtian did not pay much attention to Yu Chaochuan when they were far apart. Now that he saw Yu Chaochuan, his first impression of him was that he looked familiar. It was not difficult to guess he had seen Yu Chaochuan during the Devata realm battle of the geniuses. After all, during the Devata realm battle of the geniuses, the 9-star gods of war were not eye-catching. It was the few divine spirit realm powerhouses who were eye-catching. Both of you, come at me together. Duan Lingtian ignored Ji Ying's question. He looked at Ji Ying and Yu Chaochuan calmly. He was different from the onlookers in the surroundings. The onlookers might not be certain Yu Chaochuan, the palace master of the 10,000 Beasts Heaven's Vice Palace, was here to deal with him, but he knew Yu Chaochuan was here to deal with him. When he heard Yu Chaochuan had not entered the Nine Serenities battlefield for a long time, he was even more certain Yu Chaochuan was here for him. Although Duan Lingtian's voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by everyone present on the scene. Apart from Ji-ing and Yu Chaochuan, who had a slightly solemn expression on their faces, Swordsman Chu's expression had also turned solemn. As for the others, they were in an uproar. Duan Lingtian wants to fight Alliance Master Ji-ing and Palace Master Yu Chaochuan alone? Isn't he too arrogant? Even if he's a 9-star god of war, the two people standing opposite him are also 9-star gods of war. Moreover, they're 9-star gods of war who have been famous for a long time. I reckon he's arrogant after becoming a 9-star god of war. He thinks he's invincible. Alliance Master Ji-ing and Palace Master Yu Chaochuan have teamed up. In our 9 Serenities battlefield, the number of 9-star gods of war who can contend against them can be counted on one hand. And those people are said to be the people closest to God. Newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers. This Duan Lingtian is still too young. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the spectators couldn't help but shake their heads. Only the other 3 9-star gods of war did not look down on Duan Lingtian like them because of his arrogant words. Duan Lingtian, I hope your strength is worthy of your arrogance. Ji-ing stepped into the air with a gloomy expression. His gaze was like lightning as he stared at Duan Lingtian. Today, I, Ji-ing, will kill you, Duan Lingtian, outside the Brahma Alliance's mountain gate and avenge my junior brother, Wulong. At the same time Ji-ing stepped into the air, Yu Chaochuan also stepped into the air. This scene caused an uproar among the crowd. Yu Chaochuan really came out? It's one thing for Duan Lingtian to be arrogant, but the two of them are also so shameless? From the looks of it, Palace Master Yu Chaochuan really did find outside help for Alliance Master Ji-ing. He found outside help in advance. Did he already guess that Duan Lingtian would come knocking on his door? Seeing that Ji-ing and Yu Chaochuan were really going to join forces to deal with Duan Lingtian, the current atmosphere was pushed to the peak. The hearts of the spectators also hung in suspense. More people stared fixedly at Duan Lingtian. They were all curious. What kind of strength did Duan Lingtian have to make Ji-ing and Yu Chaochuan treat him like this? Duan Lingtian, I, Yu Chaochuan, will properly discipline you on behalf of your master today. Yu Chaochuan also spoke. His tone was indifferent and his gaze was cold. Discipline me? Duan Lingtian glanced indifferently at Yu Chaochuan, a hint of disdain appearing at the corners of his mouth. You think you're worthy? Duan Lingtian's eyes were full of contempt. You're courting death. Even though Yu Chaochuan was already quite old, he was still infuriated by Duan Lingtian's disdain and contempt. However, he did not lose his rationality because of anger. He did not attack first, instead looking at Ji-ing and calling out, Alliance Master Ji-ing, let's attack together. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Almost at the instant Yu Chaochuan's voice fell, green light wreaked havoc on Ji-ing's body. Waves of green wind that could be seen with the naked eye twined around his body. It was incomparably fast, like an illusion. Ji-ing was skilled in the law of wind. Whoosh, whoosh. Meanwhile, on Yu Chaochuan's body, there was a dark blue radiance that surged, flying into the horizon like a great wave. When it landed, it condensed into an expanse of azure power around his body. Clearly, Yu Chaochuan was skilled in the law of water. Attack. As Yu Chaochuan spoke again, he and Ji-ing moved together. The terrifying power of wind and water intertwined and swept out. At this moment, the water seemed to be able to borrow the power of wind, increasing its speed by another step. As for the wind, besides being swift and fierce, with the cooperation of the water, it also had a powerful, oppressive force. Retreat. Retreat. Almost at the instant Yu Chaochuan and Ji-ing attacked, the group of protectors and elders of the Brahma Alliance behind them all retreated with the disciples of the Brahma Alliance, far away. After they retreated, a series of earth-shattering noises reverberated throughout the area. It was the aftermath of the two's power that affected the Brahma Alliance's mountain gate, raising the mountain gate and a large area around it to the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. Not a single blade of grass grew inside. There was no life at all. If the aftermath of 2 9-star gods of war working together is like this, then how terrifying would the center of the storm be? The scene in front of their eyes caused everyone to be shocked. When the crowd looked at the eye of the storm again, they saw the power of wind and water sweeping out in all directions. After that, it formed a circle that completely enveloped the purple figure. Just as the crowd was shocked by this, another ray of light entered the field like a ghost. Clang! Under everyone's gazes, the figure of swordsman Chu entered the field and stood side by side with Yu Chaochuan and Ji Ying. As the golden light on his body pulsed, he suddenly pulled out the narrow scabbard in his hand. The moment the scabbard appeared, thousands of rays of light flashed. Wong, 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 Wong. The golden rays of light that blotted out the sky followed the power of wind and water and attacked together. Chapter 3581. No one had expected Chu Feng to suddenly make a move. Initially, everyone thought Chu Feng was only here to join in the fun. However, they did not expect him to join forces with Ji Ying and Yu Chaochuan to deal with Duan Lingtian at this crucial moment. Chu Feng and Yu Chaochuan were veteran 9-star gods of war in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Although Ji Ying had become a 9-star god of war much later than them, compared to Duan Lingtian, who had just become a 9-star god of war, he could be considered a veteran. 3 veteran 9-star gods of war were fighting against a new 9-star god of war. If the crowd hadn't seen this scene with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if the person who told them about this matter made it sound like a deluge of heavenly flowers. Was a veteran 9-star god of war so shameless? The truth was, he was shameless. Of course, at this moment, even the members of the Brahma Alliance felt that their leader was shameless, but they only thought about it in their hearts. No one dared to say it out loud. However, some people had other thoughts. They felt like a lion would use its full strength even if it was hunting a rabbit. Duan Lingtian, since leaving the Nine Serenities battlefield, you're the first person to make me use my divine weapon, Yu Chaochuan said solemnly. Yu Chaochuan's tone was solemn. A walking stick had appeared in his hand at some unknown time. Upon closer inspection, the walking stick was sparkling and translucent. When it appeared in his hand, there was a deep blue light flowing around it, as if there were blue divine dragons dancing about. At the same time, he shook the walking stick in his hand. The water energy that was charging at Duan Lingtian grew even more majestic and vast. It was as though a mountain flood had broken through a dam as it charged at a weak figure. Swoosh! Although Ji Ying didn't say anything, a bead appeared in his hand. The bead was surrounded by green qi. Streams of condensed green qi were like saber lights and sword shadows. They were extremely sharp. As Ji Ying infused his celestial origin energy into the pearl, an even more terrifying wind energy surged out of the pearl and joined in the attack on Duan Lingtian. As for Chu Feng, he had already used his Emperor-grade celestial weapon the moment he made his move. When Bladesman Chu activated his Emperor-grade celestial weapon, a blood-red silhouette could be seen on it. It was the Emperor-grade celestial weapon's weapon spirit. Although it was not a divine artifact, it was still an Emperor-grade celestial artifact with an artifact spirit. Its power was comparable to Yu Chaochuan and Ji Ying's divine artifacts without artifact spirits. In the Devata realms, divine weapons without souls were not considered divine weapons. Instead, they were called quasi-divine weapons. In the hands of those below the 9-star god of war, their strength was comparable to an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. Only in the hands of a 9-star god of war whose celestial origin energy had the characteristics of divine energy would the celestial weapon's power surpass that of an Emperor-grade celestial weapon with an artifact spirit. I'm afraid Duan Lingtian is doomed this time. 3 9-star gods of war working together. If it were any other 9-star god of war, I'm afraid it would be difficult to resist, right? With the 3 9-star gods of war working together, perhaps only the gods can contend against them. Although the people present on the scene guessed Duan Lingtian had already become a 9-star god of war, they were certain Duan Lingtian would die when they saw the 3 9-star gods of war attacking Duan Lingtian at the same time. None of them were optimistic. With the strength of the 3 9-star gods of war, it'll be difficult for Duan Lingtian to teleport away. Someone sighed. That's only natural. The 3 of them are so powerful that they've sealed the space. It'll be difficult for him to teleport away when the space trembles. Let alone the law of space's teleportation profundity. Even if he fused the teleportation profundity and the transportation profundity together, It'll be difficult for him to escape under such circumstances. The onlookers looked at the raging storm. The power within the storm was like a water dragon and a wind dragon, and it was accompanied by many dazzling golden saber lights. Those were saber lights condensed from Saber Master Chu's celestial origin energy, which contained the law of gold. Chu Feng was an expert in the law of metal. At this moment, almost no one thought Duan Lingtian had a chance of surviving. Duan Lingtian, who was in the center of the storm, stood in the air. He cast the Tao of Control. The space within a radius of 10 meters was distorted and distorted, sucking in the water and wind energy that were closest to him. However, since the two energies were too vast, it was difficult for Duan Lingtian to cast the Tao of Control. He could only barely defend himself. After that, Chu's swordsmen had joined the fray, and the 3 nine-star gods of war had attacked with their weapons. Even if Duan Lingtian relied on his celestial origin energy to control the weapons, he would not be able to withstand their attacks. There's a third person? Duan Lingtian was surprised by the addition of a third person, but he did not panic. However, his eyes flashed coldly as he thought to himself, it doesn't matter if he's from the Tidal Temple or the Heavenly Emperor Ji Fantian. He'll definitely die today. Pine Willow Divine Tree. 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian summoned the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar. However, the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar was more substantial than before. Moreover, when Duan Lingtian opened his little world, it resonated with the Divine Tree of Life. The resonance caused the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar to become more substantial. Moreover, the Pine Willow Divine Tree's trunk and branches were covered in a layer of faint white light. After the Tao of Control was suppressed, the water and fire energy and the dazzling golden saber ray entered the Pine Willow Divine Tree. The Pine Willow Divine Tree's trunk and branches were destroyed. The Pine Willow Divine Tree was being healed by the Divine Tree of Life's energy. Duan Lingtian had discovered this after he became a 9-star god of war. He could rely on his celestial origin energy to link the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar with the Divine Tree of Life in his body. They resonated with each other and shared the power to heal. Master, let Huang kill them for you. The 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword appeared. Huang who was dressed in a 7-colored robe, was standing on the sword. Her graceful figure flashed as she bowed to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, a sword-shaped imprint suddenly appeared on Huang forehead. A rainbow-colored light flashed from the sword-shaped imprint. Following that, the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword under Duan Lingtian's feet shot out thousands of rainbow-colored sword rays that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. The Pine Willow Divine Tree was no longer harmed. Duan Lingtian withdrew the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar. He was stunned when he saw the scene before him. Earlier, he had formed the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar and used the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword. He wanted to merge the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword with the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar. Then, he wanted to borrow the Divine Tree of Life's power and use its indestructible branches to drive the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword to kill the 3 people who had surrounded him. However, he did not expect that he would attack directly after the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword appeared. Moreover, it was so powerful that even Duan Lingtian was shocked. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The rainbow-colored sword rays that filled the sky formed a sword net that was bright and dazzling. It was especially eye-catching in the dark storm before the eyes of the people outside. The scene in front of them caused the surrounding crowd to be stunned. They had thought that the storm would silently annihilate Duan Lingtian and kill him. However, they did not expect such a scene to appear after the storm. What's that rainbow-colored light? Why does it feel like it's getting brighter? Is that Duan Lingtian's technique? That's impossible. Why do I feel like the combined attack of Yu Chaochuan, Bladesman Shu, and Ji Ying is about to collapse? They're all 9-star gods of war. How can they have such a technique? Just as the crowd was shocked and could not help but whisper among themselves, boom! A loud sound rang out. The center of the storm in front of the crowd suddenly exploded. The rainbow-colored light was like a rainbow-colored scorching sun. It was so dazzling that it hurt their eyes. They subconsciously squinted their eyes. The terrifying power exploded, and the aftermath of the power wreaked havoc. The rainbow-colored light was like a rainbow-colored wave that spread and wreaked havoc in the air. Some of the Brahma Alliance's disciples with low cultivation were directly killed. Even those with higher cultivations were injured. Only those who were 7-star gods of war and above managed to retreat in time at the critical moment. They were unscathed, but their faces were extremely pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. Could this Duan Tian be a god? Impossible. The power of a god is not limited to this. It would be difficult to find someone among the 9-star gods of war who could compete with this power. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the rainbow-colored light dissipated and Duan Lingtian's figure appeared. He was unharmed. However, at this moment, everyone's attention only lingered on Duan Lingtian for a moment before it fell on the rainbow-colored figure standing in front of Duan Lingtian. Who is this person? Huang was wearing a rainbow-colored robe that looked incomparably luxurious. Her beautiful face was too much for the eyes to take in. Her cold autumn eyes seemed to keep people 1,000 miles away. Those who want to kill my master must die. Just as Yu Chaochuan, Bladesman Chu, and Ji Ying's gazes fell on Huang, their eyes filled with shock and fear, Huang spoke. Her voice was pleasant to the ears, but also contained a bone-chilling coldness. In the next moment, Huang moved. Whoosh! The rainbow-colored sword flashed. Yu Chaochuan tried his best to block, but the sword still pierced through his forehead. His soul was shattered and he died. The entire place was deathly silent. Yu Chaochuan's corpse smashed onto the ground. His face still maintained the expression of fear he had before he died. His eyes were completely round, filled with fear and disbelief. Clearly, even at the moment of his death, he didn't think that his life would wither away like this. Huang Duan Lingtian looked at Huang with a hint of shock in his eyes. Could it be that after my celestial origin energy gave birth to the characteristics of divine energy, she transformed as well? Duan Lingtian had just broken through not long ago. He only discovered that he could communicate with the divine tree of life and use it to provide the pine willow divine tree with an endless supply of vitality. He had not noticed Huang's transformation before this. It was only now that he saw it with his own eyes. Chapter 3582. Huang was the sword soul of the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. The 7 Orifices exquisite sword was a divine artifact, a superior divine artifact. Ordinary divine artifacts required at least a 9-star god of war to display their true strength. The 7 Orifices exquisite sword was the same. When Duan Lingtian's celestial origin energy developed the characteristics of divine energy and he became a 9-star god of war, his strength increased the most. It was the 7 Orifices exquisite sword that was hidden in his body. The 7 Orifices exquisite sword strength increased because of Huang's sword soul. Huang's strength. The scene of Huang's attack still lingered in Duan Lingtian's mind. Yu Chaochuan, the hall master of the 10,000 Beasts Heaven's Subhall and the 9-star god of war, did not even have time to dodge. He was a 9-star god of war, not some random person. Although Duan Lingtian was confident he could kill Yu Chaochuan, he had to rely on the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image avatar, the Divine Tree of Life, and the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. However, Huang had easily killed Yu Chaochuan with the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. She was even faster than he had expected. Even Duan Lingtian was shocked by the scene before him, let alone the others. Now, when the others looked at Huang again, their gazes were no longer filled with amazement, but with shock and fear. They never thought that this graceful and beautiful young woman would be so decisive and terrifying in her actions. Yu Chaochuan was the hall master of the 10,000 Beasts Heaven's Subhall and a veteran 9-star god of war in the 9 Serenities battlefield. However, she had killed him as easily as stepping on an ant. The entire process was so simple that it felt like a dream. This isn't a dream. However, many people quickly regained their senses and realized this was not a dream. Everything was real. She addressed Duan Lingtian as her master. Very quickly, someone thought of this and his expression changed drastically. When he looked at Huang Er again, his gaze was intertwined between Huang Er and the 7 orifices exquisite sword floating at her feet. Could she be the sword spirit or sword soul of this sword? A divine artifact soul? After realizing what kind of existence Huang Er was, everyone was shocked. There was no lack of knowledgeable people in the crowd. When they saw Huang Er's strength, they could not help but mutter, normally speaking, for a demigod to possess such strength, it can only be a high-grade god artifact soul. High-grade divine artifact? You mean Duan Lingtian's sword is a high-grade divine weapon? Oh my god! High-grade divine artifacts, especially those with artifact souls, were considered priceless treasures even in the plains of gods. It's enough to make people fight over it. Duan Lingtian, how could he have such a divine weapon? After realizing that the divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's hand was a high-grade divine weapon, everyone present was shocked. Even Duan Lingtian's opponent, Ji Ying, and swordsman Chu, were no exception. When the two of them saw Yu Chaochuan being killed, they already felt a great sense of danger. Now that they realized the sword in Duan Lingtian's hand was a divine weapon, and the soul of the divine weapon had the ability to instantly kill a 9-star god of war, only terror remained in the depths of their hearts. Duan Lingtian. Swordsman Chu stood in the distance, and he had a bitter expression as he looked at Duan Lingtian. I didn't intend to become enemies with you in the matter today. It was Ji Ying who coerced me. Let me go, and I'll owe you a favor. Swordsman Chu lowered his head. It could even be said that he was begging for mercy. The strength of Duan Lingtian's artifact soul made his heart tremble. He did not think that he could escape alive under Duan Lingtian's nose. Hearing Swordsman Chu's words, Duan Lingtian glanced at him indifferently and did not say anything. As for the others, when they looked at Swordsman Chu again, they could not help but shake their heads. If Swordsman Chu did not make a move, he would be a bystander like us. But now that he has interfered, it is equivalent to sending himself to his death. Sometimes, a choice can really decide a lifetime. Swordsman Chu, what a pity. At this moment, almost no one thought that Swordsman Chu could survive. This was a 9-star god of war. Since he was already an enemy and could be killed, he should naturally be killed to prevent him from becoming a great threat in the future. In the next moment, their guesses were verified. Whoosh! Huang Er attacked again. Even though Swordsman Chu used the artifact in his hand to block with all his might, it was still difficult for him to block Huang Er's attack. In the blink of an eye, Swordsman Chu followed in Yu Chaochuan's footsteps. Another veteran 9-star god of war had fallen. In the blink of an eye, in just a dozen breaths of time, 2 9-star gods of war had fallen. The surroundings were deathly silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Many people's bodies were trembling slightly. Even in their dreams, they did not expect that they would be able to witness such a scene with their own eyes. Now, even if I die, my life will not be in vain. 2 9-star gods of war have been killed right under my nose. Someone sighed emotionally. His words resonated with many people. In one's life, it is already a great fortune to be able to witness the death of a 9-star god of war. Today, in just a blink of an eye, we have witnessed the death of 2 9-star gods of war. Even in the history of the Devata realms, in the history of the 9 Serenities battlefield, such a situation has never happened before, right? In just a dozen breaths of time, 2 9-star gods of war have fallen. This is destined to be recorded in the annals of history. Perhaps, today, another 9-star god of war has fallen as well. After the surrounding people whispered for a while, their gazes, as though they had discussed it beforehand, landed on Ji Ying, the leader of the Brahma Alliance, whose face was ashen and whose eyes were filled with panic. At this moment, anyone with eyes could see that Ji Ying's forehead was drenched in sweat. It was obvious that the deaths of Yu Chaochuan and Saber Master Chu had brought great pressure to him. Swoosh! While Ji Ying was suffering, Huang Er made her move again. However, she did not kill Ji Ying as everyone had expected. This was because Ji Yu, the heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven, had appeared. To be more precise, the soul imprint that Ji Yu had left on Ji Ying had blocked the fatal attack. However, the soul imprint had dimmed. It was impossible for it to block the attack a second time. After Ji Yu's soul imprint appeared, he did not look at Huang Er. Instead, he looked at Duan Lingtian. He knew Duan Lingtian was the one who had killed his disciple and adopted son, Ji Ying. Duan Lingtian, Ji Yu said. Although there was a hint of anger on his face, he suppressed his anger as he said in a low voice, "If you let my disciple go, we'll forget about the enmity between us. I won't hold it against you for the death of my second disciple, Wu Long." Ji Yu, the heavenly emperor of a Devata realm and the strongest heavenly emperor on the heavenly emperor ranking, was acting humbly. The onlookers were shocked when they saw his humility. The heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven is willing to compromise with Duan Lingtian? The onlookers found it hard to believe. "Master." Ji Ying's face flushed red as he said in a low voice, "Master, there's no need for you to compromise with him. Duan Lingtian isn't worthy of you bowing down to him." "Shut up," Ji Yu said coldly. Ji Ying was so frightened that he immediately shut his mouth. Although Ji Yu was just an illusory figure, Ji Yu's authority as his master and godfather was deeply ingrained in his heart. He did not dare to say another word. Everyone thought Duan Lingtian would give face to Ji Yu, the heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven, when he suddenly said, "Huang Er, kill him." As soon as Huang Er finished speaking, she made her move. Ji Yu, the heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven, was furious. He shouted, "Duan Lingtian, you'll regret this. You'll regret this." Swoosh! A seven-colored sword ray flashed and destroyed Ji Yu's illusory figure. Then, Ji Ying, who had attacked with all his might, was killed in just a second. Duan Lingtian had a rough idea that Huang Er's strength was at the peak of the demigod realm. There were only a few people below the level of a god in the Devata realms and realms of gods who were a match for her. Killing a 9-star god of war was as easy as slaughtering a chicken. "I'm afraid my celestial origin energy has given birth to divine energy," Duan Lingtian thought to himself. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to figure out the reason Huang Er was so powerful. It must have something to do with his celestial origin energy that had given birth to divine energy. The reason why divine weapons were called divine weapons was because they were the weapons of the gods. Only deities could unleash its full power. The power of gods was the divine energy. Although Duan Lingtian had not become a god yet, the divine energy in his celestial origin energy was enough to activate the true power of the divine weapon. Following Ji Ying's death, the people in the surroundings fell silent again. Earlier, when Ji Yu, the heavenly emperor of the Brahma heaven, had lowered his head and compromised in front of Duan Lingtian, everyone thought Duan Lingtian would not kill Ji Ying because he did not want to make an enemy out of Ji Yu. They did not expect Duan Lingtian to ignore Ji Yu and let his divine weapon soul kill Ji Ying. Since then, the 3 9-star gods of war who had joined forces to fight Duan Lingtian had all died. 3 9-star gods of war had died in just one day. This matter was unprecedented in the 9 Serenities battlefield. No one would have any objections even if it was said to be unprecedented. Swoosh! Under everyone's envious gazes, Huang emerged with the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. The 7 Orifices exquisite sword transformed into a 7-colored ray of light and entered Duan Lingtian's body. It was a prominent divine weapon. Moreover, it was a prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul. In their opinion, such a treasure was worth risking their lives to fight for. However, they did not dare to act rashly. After all, they knew if they acted rashly, they would definitely die. Only a reckless man would charge forward when he knew he was going to die. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian put away the 7 Orifices exquisite sword and looked around. "From now on, I, Duan Lingtian, will take the Brahma Alliance's base. From now on, it will be my, Duan Lingtian's, cultivation place. I don't want to see anyone here after one day. Violators, die." Chapter 3583. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he flew into the Brahma Alliance's estate and disappeared from the crowd's sight. The crowd looked at each other before they retreated one after another. "Let's go. There's nothing to see here. The Brahma Alliance is gone." I didn't expect a force as famous as the Brahma Alliance in the Nine Serenities battlefield would be wiped out just like that. Based on Duan Lingtian's actions, it's obvious he's planning to take over the Brahma Alliance's estate. Now, let's disperse. From today onward, I'm afraid everyone in the Nine Serenities battlefield and the other Devata realms will know about this brilliant disciple of the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. The crowd of onlookers stayed for a while before gradually dispersing. Of course, when they left, they didn't forget to spread the news of what had happened. For a time, everyone in the Nine Serenities battlefield knew what had happened outside the Brahma Alliance's territory today. Duan Lingtian, the only true disciple of Feng Qingyang, the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, possessed a prominent Devata artifact with a soul. After he became a nine-star god of war, he easily killed the three famous nine-star gods of war in the Nine Serenities battlefield with the help of this prominent Devata artifact. Yu Chaochuan, Saber Master Chu, and Ji Ying were famous figures in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Yu Chaochuan and Saber Master Chu, in particular, were veterans in the Nine Serenities battlefield. I didn't expect the brilliant disciple of Feng Qingyang, the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, to be so strong. Even the prominent Devata artifact is shocking. Is it possible that the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Feng Qingyang, gave him a Devata artifact? It's possible. After all, it's no secret that Feng Qingyang, the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, had a fortuitous encounter in the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. Perhaps he obtained many Devata artifacts there and gave one to his only true disciple, Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian is really lucky to have such a good master. If you have Duan Lingtian's innate talent and comprehension ability, perhaps the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven would be willing to accept you as his disciple. Now, while Duan Lingtian's name had spread to every corner of the Ninth Serenity battlefield, the high-quality god artifact in his hand that possessed an artifact soul had also become the focus of attention. Such a divine artifact was enough to move everyone's heart. While everyone in the Nine Serenities battlefield was in an uproar because of the deaths of the 3 nine-star war gods, the people of the Brahma Alliance didn't leave the alliance. Instead, they were led by several 8-star war god enforcers to search for Duan Lingtian. Lord Duan Lingtian, we are willing to honor you as the new leader of the Brahma Alliance. If you don't like the name Brahma Alliance, you can give us another name. We only want to be loyal to you. The former enforcers of the Brahma Alliance led a group of elders and disciples to the valley where Duan Lingtian was staying and spoke respectfully. The strength Duan Lingtian had displayed shocked and inconceivable them. At the same time, they also felt that it would be their greatest fortune if they could protect them in the Nine Serenities battlefield. At that time, their faction would become a transcendent force in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Therefore, they didn't leave as Duan Lingtian had said. They stayed and tried to persuade Duan Lingtian to take over the Brahma Alliance. You still have 20 hours. However, the reply they received was Duan Lingtian. After that, Duan Lingtian didn't say another word. No matter how the enforcers of the Brahma Alliance tried to persuade him, it was the same. In the end, the people of the Brahma Alliance could only leave in disappointment. They could all see it. Duan Lingtian didn't plan to take over the Brahma Alliance. Their hopes were dashed. A day later, the former Brahma Alliance's base turned from a bustling place to a desolate place without a single soul in sight. This was all because of Duan Lingtian's words. An uninvited guest appeared in the independent realm where the tidal temple was located. It was none other than Jiyu, the Heavenly Emperor of the Brahma Heaven. Although Jiyu tried to make his expression look good, anyone with a discerning eye could see the unconcealable gloom on his face. Hall Master Wu, the 9-star war god of your tidal temple, was killed in public. How can you tolerate this? For Jiyu, the deaths of his true disciples was no different from rubbing salt on his wounds. When his first true disciple, Ji Ying, was killed, he was so furious that he almost destroyed the area around his cultivation ground. The violent energy caused the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain in the Brahma Heaven to tremble. Everyone could feel the wrath of a Heavenly Emperor. However, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. He couldn't do anything to the culprit. In the end, After he suppressed his anger, he left the heavenly emperor palace in the Brahma heaven and came to the independent realm where the tidal temple's main hall was located to look for Wu Hongqing. What can I do if I can't tolerate it? Wu Hongqing wasn't surprised by Ji Yu's visit. He shook his head when he heard Ji Yu's words. Duan Lingtian's strength has been established. It's harder to kill him in the Nine Serenities battlefield than to reach the heavens. Wu Hongqing was shocked when he first received the news. Duan Lingtian had become a 9-star war god? Moreover, he had a prominent divine artifact with an artifact soul? Based on all these factors, Duan Lingtian's strength had exceeded his imagination. Where's Mi Xian? Wu Hongqing was puzzled when he heard about the incident outside the Brahma Alliance's base in the Nine Serenities battlefield. Why didn't Mi Xian show up? Mi Xian was definitely stronger than Yu Chaochuan. However, he didn't show up during the battle. Was it because he had discovered Duan Lingtian's strength and didn't dare to act rashly? Or was it because he wasn't there? There must be someone he cares about outside the Nine Serenities battlefield, right? We can use them to threaten him to come out. Ji Yu said in a deep voice as his eyes flashed coldly. There's no hurry. Wu Hongqing frowned slightly before he shook his head. It's best if we don't take this step unless it's absolutely necessary. Whether it's you or me, we'll be risking our reputation if we take this step. Moreover, Duan Lingtian isn't alone. He has Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, behind him. Wu Hongqing said. Feng Qingyang. Ji Yu frowned slightly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. I almost forgot about him. However, I'll have to ask him for an explanation. Ji Yu's eyes glinted coldly when he finished speaking. You're going to ask him for an explanation? Wu Hongqing smiled disdainfully when he heard Ji Yu's words. Heavenly Emperor Ji, I'm afraid you're unaware that Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, has become a lesser god king like me, right? Although you're a greater god, you might not be a match for him. What? Wu Hongqing's words shocked Ji Yu. Feng Qingyang is a lesser god king? How's that possible? Didn't he just become a lesser god not long ago? Ji Yu found this hard to believe. Humph. Wu Hongqing snorted. His only true disciple, Duan Lingtian, even took out a prominent god weapon with an artifact soul. Do you think it's difficult for him to become a lesser god king? When Ji Yu first learned that Duan Lingtian possessed a prominent god weapon with an artifact soul, he was shocked as well. After all, even the tidal temple did not possess such a god weapon. Has he really become a lesser god king? Initially, Ji Yu did not think in the same direction as Wu Hongqing's words. However, after Ji Yu's reminder, he suddenly felt that if the god weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession was given to him by Feng Qingyang, it meant that Feng Qingyang had obtained a fortuitous encounter in the Azura Hell. It was not impossible for him to become a lesser god king now. I've seen him display the strength of a lesser god king with my own eyes. What do you think? Wu Hongqing's rhetorical question completely dispelled the hope in Ji Yu's heart, causing Ji Yu's expression to become extremely ugly. A lesser god king. He could not afford to offend such a person. Moreover, Feng Qingyang was still so young. His potential was not something he could compare to. With his current strength, he would never be able to catch up to Feng Qingyang in this lifetime. Ji Yu's expression changed rapidly. He was unwilling to accept this outcome. Let's wait for him to come out. Wu Hongqing's tone was solemn when he spoke again. Currently, Duan Lingtian is practically invincible in the Nine Serenities battlefield. That's not necessarily true, right? Ji Yu had always hated Duan Lingtian. Now that he heard Wu Hongqing speaking so highly of Duan Lingtian, it was obvious he was slightly displeased. In the Nine Serenities battlefield, there's no lack of high-level 5 divine elements. If they make a move, they might be able to deal with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian is only relying on the external power of the god weapon. As for those who possess the higher form of the 5 divine elements, they'll be able to utilize the power of the 5 divine elements to attack with the help of the 5 divine elements. As far as I know, the 5 divine elements have a certain restraining effect on god weapons. Ji Yu's tone was high as though he had found a way to vent his emotions. However, when Wu Hongqing heard Ji Yu's words, he looked at Ji Yu as though he was looking at an idiot. However, he quickly looked away so Ji Yu did not notice. High-level 5 divine elements? Was Duan Lingtian lacking in them? Perhaps Duan Lingtian had used too much energy to escape from him and Mi Xian with the help of the 5 divine elements. They would need time to recover and would not be able to help Duan Lingtian for the time being. However, if someone with high-level 5 divine elements made a move against Duan Lingtian, even if the 5 divine elements had not fully recovered, they would not sit idly by. If they were to join forces, even a high-level divine elemental spirit would not be able to defeat them. This was the first time he had seen someone who possessed all 5 divine elements at the same time. Trying to use the 5 divine elements against Duan Lingtian? Would that not be courting death? Naturally, Wu Hongqing did not say this out loud. He did not want Ji Yu to know too much. Chapter 3584. Most people were absolutely selfish in front of outsiders. For example, Wu Hongqing, the palace master of the Tidal Temple, did not tell Ji Yu that Duan Lingtian possessed 5 divine elements because he did not want Ji Yu to know about it. Otherwise, even if Ji Yu did not covet Duan Lingtian's 5 divine elements, he would still leak the news. At that time, more people would know that Duan Lingtian possessed 5 divine elements. Duan Lingtian was aware that Ji Yu was backed by a force from the realms of gods. If Ji Yu found out about this, he would definitely spread the news to the realms of gods in order to earn some merit. So what if those people can restrain Duan Lingtian? Wu Hongqing glanced at Ji Yu indifferently and said, "Do you think you can get those people to make a move? Which one of those people doesn't have a mysterious identity? Who would dare to reveal that they possess the 5 divine elements?" Ji Yu fell silent upon hearing Wu Hongqing's words. He knew there were 9 star gods of war who possessed the 5 divine elements, and there was more than one of them in the 9 Serenities battlefield. However, no one knew who those people were, including him. If he knew, he would have coveted the 5 divine elements in those people's bodies. The 5 divine elements were enough to make him, a heavenly emperor of a Devata realm who had been a god for many years, covet the 5 divine elements. After a while, Ji Yu's eyes flashed as though he had thought of something. He said in a low voice, "Even if I can't contact those people and ask them to make a move, news of Duan Lingtian possessing a prominent divine weapon would have spread in the 9 Serenities battlefield and the other Devata realms. Moreover, since he dares to openly stay in the Brahma Alliance's estate, there's no doubt those who possess the 5 divine elements would have gone to kill him and steal his divine weapon." At the end of his speech, Ji Yu's eyes were filled with a sense of unwillingness as well as a sense of satisfaction. The divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's hands was originally his, but now it was going to be taken advantage of by someone else. How could he be willing to accept this? However, if Duan Lingtian died, the person who killed Duan Lingtian could be considered to have avenged his 2 disciples. The Wanderer Heaven was one of the 81 Devata realms. Meanwhile, in the depths of an uninhabited desert in the Wangri sky, the originally calm yellow sand suddenly began to tremble. In the end, the tremors continued to grow stronger as one enormous figure after another emerged from the ground. These were all demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were of different shapes and sizes. However, they all had a flame mark on their foreheads. After they came out, they were like soldiers marching to war. They lined up in neat rows. Whoosh! As if a gust of wind blew past, a figure appeared above the heads of these demonic beasts. It was a middle-aged man dressed in a long green robe. He was tall and burly, and his face was as fair as jade. His aura was intimidating, and he gave off a feeling that he was not someone to be trifled with. A prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul? The middle-aged man's eyes flashed as he muttered to himself, "It's been more than 1,000 years. Finally, there's someone who can bring me back to the 9 Serenities battlefield. If it was any later, I would have become a god by now. I'm in luck. It just so happens that I haven't become a god yet." The middle-aged man muttered to himself. "Yin, are you confident?" The middle-aged man suddenly asked. He did not know who he was talking to. In the next moment, a vigorous voice rang out from within his body. "If I was still in the 7th form, I wouldn't be so confident. However, I'm now in the 8th form of the Chaos Divine Flame. With your help, it won't be difficult to kill that Duan Lingtian and take his prominent divine weapon." Although a 9-star god of war can unleash the power of a prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul, there's still a big difference between that and a true god activating it. With my current ability, I can restrain it. Based on the words of the middle-aged man, it was clear that the Chaos Divine Flame was one of the 5 divine elements. Moreover, it was in the 8th form. I think it should be fine as well. After all, you're not far from evolving to the 9th form. The middle-aged man nodded. My battle pets, let's go. Follow me to the 9 Serenities battlefield. As the middle-aged man's gaze fell on the hundreds of beasts in the desert, he opened the small world in his body. Then, the flames between the eyebrows of the beasts flashed. One by one, they stepped into the air in an orderly manner and entered the small world in his body. This time, all of you will follow me to kill a true genius. Although we can't reveal our identities in the end, this glory is something that you and I can be proud of. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged man left the desert with the hundreds of beasts that had entered his small world. They headed to the teleportation point to enter the 9 Serenities battlefield. His target this time was none other than Duan Lingtian. To be more precise, his target was the prominent divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession. This time, many of my old friends will be attracted to the 9 Serenities battlefield. When the time comes, after killing Duan Lingtian, we'll have to fight for the divine weapon. On the way to the teleportation point to the 9 Serenities battlefield, the middle-aged man muttered to himself again. Soaring into the sky, the continuous barren mountains were crimson. Against the sunset, it looked as if the entire world had been dyed in blood. All of a sudden, boom, rumble. In the middle of the continuous barren mountains, a fiery heat wave suddenly erupted from the tallest mountain peak. It shot up to the sky as though it was going to soar into the sky. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there was a blue streak of light on the mountain peak. A jade blue light flashed around this heat wave. In the end, the entire heat wave instantly solidified and was completely frozen. Waves of cold air drifted down from all directions, causing the entire huge peak and even the surrounding desolate mountains to be covered in a layer of white frost. After a while, a snow-covered mountain peak appeared in front of them. An ice flower blossomed in the sky, following which, a beautiful figure appeared in a timely manner. It was a skinny girl wearing a light yellow robe. She appeared to be in her early 20s. However, her eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life. A prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul. I must obtain it. The woman suddenly spoke, and her voice was extremely cold. At the same time, an old woman's voice rang in her mind. Don't be careless. Although you have my 8th form world-cleansing divine water, don't forget that there are many 5 divine elements in the 9 Serenities battlefield who possess high-form divine elements. Moreover, most of them aren't gods yet, so they can still enter the 9 Serenities battlefield. I know that. The woman nodded, but her eyes were still filled with determination. No matter what, I'll do my best to obtain that divine artifact. If I can obtain that divine artifact, my path in the realms of gods will be much smoother after I become a god. I hope you'll succeed. At that time, I'll seal the divine weapon while you kill the owner of the divine weapon to obtain it, the old woman said. The old woman's voice sounded again, as if it was not difficult for her to imprison a divine artifact. In the 9 Serenities battlefield, in the 13 middle districts of the central region. Brother. A figure appeared in the sky above a quiet valley and said respectfully, the news that Duan Lingtian possesses a prominent divine weapon with an artifact soul must have spread by now. I think you should make a move as soon as possible to prevent your old rivals from entering the 9 Serenities battlefield as well. The figure belonged to a young man with a medium build and an ordinary appearance. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at a courtyard in the corner of the valley. A hint of anxiety could be heard in his voice. Swoosh. As soon as the young man finished speaking, a figure appeared out of thin air in front of him. I know. The reason I haven't come out for so long is because I've reached a critical point in comprehending the law of space's profundities. Now that my comprehension of the law of space has improved, my old rivals won't be a match for me if I don't use the 5 divine elements' energy. The person who appeared now was also a young man. He was tall, had a handsome face, and sword-like eyebrows that reached his temples. There was always a smile on his face, giving people a feeling of being bathed in the spring breeze. "Brother, you've broken through again?" The eyes of the young man with a medium build lit up. "It seems like the prominent divine weapon in Duan Lingtian's possession is destined to be yours, brother. No one can guarantee anything before we obtain the divine weapon," the young man said as he shook his head. "It's best to do your best. If you force it, it'll affect your state of mind and your path to becoming a god." The young man was one of the 9 star gods of war who possessed the 5 divine elements in the 9 Serenities battlefield. The 5 divine elements' spirit in his body was a profound divine metal, and it had already evolved to its 8th form. As long as it devoured more profound divine metals, it would be able to evolve to its 9th form. At that time, it would become even more powerful and terrifying. "Stay here and wait for my good news. Brother, I want to go with you. Don't mess around. If a fight breaks out, I won't be able to take care of you." "All right, brother, be careful." Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian, who was in the Brahma Alliance's base, was unaware that the 7 divine elements in the 9 Serenities battlefield had appeared. Many 9 star gods of war who possessed the 5 divine elements in their bodies were tempted by the 7 orifices' exquisite sword. Whether they were in the 9 Serenities battlefield or not, all of them who had not ascended to godhood were making their way to Duan Lingtian. An unprecedented crisis was slowly approaching him. After the calm before him, a storm would break out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.